Opening races often take leagues to world-class venues such as Daytona, Spa, maybe even Road America or Silverstone. But while that's not to say Okayama isn't or wasn't a world-class venue, it certainly isn't what most think of as a season opener. That said, the North American Racing League is back in town and we're opening Porsche Cup Season 2 from Japan. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV, the virtual Okayama International Circuit. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa this evening as per usual. And JP, Okayama is a rather historic circuit and in more than one way. Formula One is raced here. Of course, Japanese series like Super GT have been here. But it also just feels like an older course, a historic course, and that's because it is. Fast sweepers, the S's, and a long straight into the hairpin give you everything you need in a racing course, new and old, and that's just the first half of the lap.
Absolutely, it's just a fun racing circuit. It's obviously, I guess you mentioned, a bit of an underrated circuit to people to start an opening season, but it's certainly a fun one. As you mentioned, it has absolutely all the characteristics you need, and especially on the first sector of the racetrack, the first part of the racetrack. After that, it's a bit of a roller coaster. It has long straightaways, big braking zones. You can have lots of side-by-side action, and as we're used to, Andrew, not a lot of room for mistakes. As you can see, a bunch of grass and gravel on the exit of corners, which always makes it fun.
Paved runoff, what is that? We don't have any of that here at Okayama. Maybe little bits here and there, maybe more where the cut through is for the short course, but otherwise, very little, if none, or if any, I should say, paved runoff here. It makes it such a great course, but also so technical and almost a little bit like VIR in that way, in courses like VIR. Maybe VIR isn't the best example, but courses that just don't have any runoff, it's just grass over that white line. It's tricky here at Okayama, and especially with the track temps we'll see in a little bit, it's going to be tough on these drivers. The Okayama International Circuit, there we go, looks a bit like this. Turn 1, of course, is a right-hand sweeper, a little more than 90 degrees in total angle. Williams for turn number 2, kind of the same thing, also a bit of an acute corner, except it's to the left side, so you get a right-left couple of sweepers to open the lap, then you go down to that Moss S and the Atwood curve, JP, and then things get fun.
Things you absolutely get fun. As soon as you get to that long back straight away, you get to turn 5, the hairpin, and then obviously you have turn 6 and 7, Andrew. Slow corners, but you can always go side by side. I'm pretty sure everyone watching here has seen a bunch of side-by-side action from your favorite streamer on obviously the iRacing highlights. Then you head into a small straightaway between turn 7 and 8. You can still go side by side, a bit tricky turn 8 with that apex, turn 9 as well, and then you head into turn 10 and turn 11 to finish off the lap. 2 tricky corners. They look relatively simple, but they're far from it.
There is no easy corner here. I guess turn 3. That's the only easy corner. And even then, if you're side by side, it's not so easy. It's tough to figure out who needs to go where and who needs to give more room. Otherwise, there is no easy corner here at Okayama. Be it turn 1, 2, 3, 4 that I mentioned earlier, or 5, the hairpin, Revolver, Piper, Redmond, Hobbs, Mike Knight corner, or even the final corner at turn 11. There is no easy spot to go racing here at Okayama. That's what makes it so fun. That's why you see a lot of Miata races down in the rookie classes, or even Formula V, or Formula Renault. Is actually, you can see Formula 3.5 Renault is one of the classes that we have here as the fast laps at Okayama on iRacing. Worth noting, out of interest here, the Porsche GT3 Cup car is 4 seconds off of the top GT3 time here on iRacing. That said, JP, that's with one of the older GT3 cars, an Audi R8, set by Maximilian Benecke at a 124.7 versus the Porsche Cup 128.7. But the newer GT3 cars, they seem to lap about 3 seconds slower, so more recent BOPs bring the two cars very close together. You could almost run them in the same category, despite being completely different in the way you have to drive them, with a lack of assists here in the Porsche Cup car. So very interesting as to how close the two cars are here at Okayama. We don't have standings to talk about today, but we do, of course, have a schedule. This is the opening round of Porsche Cup Season 2, so here you go. Okayama International Circuit kicks things off this evening on June 16th. Next week, it's Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, Texas, before we finish the first half down in Australia and then up in the UK.
It's certainly a good little schedule. Obviously, you mentioned we go back to the UK. And I mean, Andrew, it's a tour around the world. You just go from Japan, then you go to the United States, you go to Australia, you go to Europe, you go to Canada, United States, Japan, and then finish off in Australia again. It's a bit of the northern part of the world, the northern hemisphere, except for the Australian tracks, but still a very good layout, a very good schedule. And I mean, it's certainly going to bring a whole lot of fun to these drivers. Obviously, driving on the Porsche Cup car it's going to be lots of fun. And well, can't wait to see who's going to excel in which course, Andrew. We're going to have a lot of different characteristics to each course, and should bring the best of every single driver.
You see Montreal and Indianapolis there, rounds 5 and 6, before Suzuka and Bathurst round things out on, well, I guess the eastern side of the world with Japan, then Australia to finish things up. A lot of really good tracks here. A lot of really good tracks. And I think my favorites, if you want to go ahead and call them out now, and we can talk about this, I guess our favorite races at the end of the season, I would have to go with Okayama, maybe even Phillip Island, Montreal, and honestly, Suzuka. I think those are my 4 favorite tracks out of this schedule. It seems like we're getting one every other week, every other race for me, but obviously I'm sure tastes are different. By all means, out in chat, let us know what races you think will be your favorites. Which of these tracks will be your favorites? JP, let's hear yours.
My favorite racetrack, that's going to be a difficult one. I absolutely love Bathurst. I feel like that's such a challenging course, and it's going to be a fitting finale. Montreal, it's a fun one in a Formula 1 car, and the walls just bring a nice little challenge. And I think I'm going to stick to those two, actually, Andrew, as my favorite. Indianapolis might be a bit of a spinner in the mix, as I like to call it, but it should be a whole lot of fun as well. But I'm actually looking forward to this one, the season opener. A lot can be talked about in this racetrack, and I mean, it's the first of the whole season. Drivers are going to be a bit nervous, I guess you could say. Some are going to be more eager than others. Should be interesting to see the tactics we see from each and every single driver.
We're going to see a lot of new faces and some old faces in new places. Here's Mario Miranda, a new face to this series, but an old face for us that we see in the MPI Cup Series. And JP, think back to Coda in MPI. Back in March, when you first covered that series with us, Mario Miranda dominated that race, was taken out late and dropped down to second after some late contact with Lawson Peel. But Mario Miranda was going to win that race at Coda in NASCAR Gen 7 stock cars. So he is a road course ace coming over here, at least from the oval side, to try his hand at road.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we mentioned, I remember his name, and yeah, he was doing a fantastic job. He's clearly good in the roadside aspect, and it's nice seeing him in a Porsche. Handles a bit differently from a NASCAR Cup car, Andrew, I gotta say. I mean, you can't even notice, I don't think. But yeah, he's doing a good job. 0.3 of a second away from the pole time, from the fastest time as well. So it's a good little start for him, as you can see now. As well, Ronaldo Carlos looks like he improves, and well, sets a good lap time.
Ronaldo Carlos going very quick there. Nearly a 10th and a third faster than Kevin Simpson, a new name that we're seeing as well. So 2 new names at the board. Milan Harris looking good so far in car 96, currently 3rd for Rockefeller Racing. Actually, should be in car 96, but scored as car number 8. We'll see how that changes throughout the day. Ilya Speaker, another familiar face, back in car 06 with Rockefeller Racing. Travis Watt, though, was a new one here in the top 10 in 9th, and Dan Willis is the first car outside of the top 10. And you'll notice on each of these Maradness cars, JP, they have accents, colored accents. We're going to see a lot more of them this season with that neon yellow up top, the black on the bottom. We're going to see a lot more, and you'll see the accents denoting which driver is which. So we'll learn that throughout the course of the season. Dan Willis, though, here in the sky blue.
It's going to be interesting, and I like that little bit of detail from each team to kind of distinguish the drivers from me. Yeah, differentiate. There we go. See, Andrew, I miss a few broadcasts, nearly a month away. The English starts to go away, but yeah, it's fun to be back. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that, the color changes between teams. Obviously, some of them use the mirrors as well. But yeah, it's just fun to see all these drivers back, and a bunch of teams that we already know, and a few new ones as well.
Well, we watched Matthew O'Leary get some corners around Okayama here. Let's talk about that track temp I mentioned, the weather here. It's rather hot. 83 degrees in the air means 136 on the track, and we don't see temps that hot very often, but we have more recently with the MPI Cup Series. I forget which track we saw it scorching at. It might have been... Oh, I really don't remember. It might have been Sonoma, although I didn't think it was. I thought it was something completely different. But we've seen some scorching track temps as of late on the iRacing.com sim. This is certainly one of the hottest we've seen for North American Race League action. I know where it was now. Wasn't it Watkins Glen where we saw some scorching temps earlier in the day?
I remember the 24 we saw pretty crazy track temps, but nowhere near as high as 136. I think that's the highest I've seen as well,
yeah.
Andrew. So
136 is up there with the
interesting.
hottest temperature recorded in the world. Ambient temperature, of course, so a little bit different, but still very, very hot. As yeah, that's going to challenge these guys today. Here's Brandon Louvier, a new look for him now with the Maradness Quantum Pay squad. You can see car 888's got the white accents there on his livery. Let's go deeper in the field. Billy Bowerman here in car 102. Diego Ena there in car 77, currently 20th on the board. How about Armando Bejaran? It looks like a lot of these guys in the pit lane, they've already wrapped up their runs. Here's Zachariah Rosar, though, with one more chance to go faster.
Yeah, looks like he's finishing up his lap. It looks like he's on turn 9, just exiting, heading into the final 2 corners of the racetrack. He kind of needs to improve. Currently sitting in, looks like 25th spot, so he definitely wants to improve. Currently sitting in a 132.7. Does he improve on this lap? Coming across the line.
He'll call it quits.
And looks like, yeah, unfortunately just coming up short. Sanchez looks like he's also on the last flying lap, Andrew, and also on the last sector of the racetrack.
Sanchez rolls on through Hobbs, and he'll head down to Mike Knight corner. Sanchez second on the board. This is lap number 4. Unfortunately, this will not count, actually. So this lap is an extra lap, a dead lap for him. For Chris Sanchez in car number 5, but very, very quick for a lot of these newcomers. Carlos, Sanchez, Simpson, Wilson, 4 new names atop the board. Then you get guys like Milan Harris and Bobby Flack that we're used to seeing. Even Brandon Louvier and Stacy Bertrand, one of the new names in the field. We had a couple of moments previously, right, where we thought maybe a driver by the name was a female. Now, I just want to clarify here, Stacy is, per Scott Reister, the first female to actually compete for points in the North American Racing League, so it's good to see her in the field this evening, and hopefully for the rest of the season in car 52. So watch out for the pink Rockefeller Racing Porsche this season, and she might have some good runs in store, considering she just qualified 10th for the first round.
Yeah, it's a good first start. I mean, already starting up 10th. Obviously, 4.5 tenths away, but, you know, qualifying isn't always the whole aspect, Andrew. So, yeah, a really good start. Hopefully, we can see plenty more of the 52. We can see here the number 26 as well. He's just practicing, I think, right now, Andrew. He's not on a flying lap, is he? Either way, we only have 10 extra seconds on, you know, before drivers get onto the race. And Andrew, do you think the nerves are quite high, you know, just before the start of the new season? A bunch of names, some of them don't know. Bunch of different drivers to learn their driving techniques. Things are about to get spicy.
Well, they're already spicy as far as track temperatures, but yeah, things are about to get a lot more spicy as far as the racing itself here. We have got an expected 20 laps for our first race. Of course, 30 minutes in these amateur races, and then the 15-minute race later on with the pros and pro-ams. Let's talk one more time about our schedule. It's Okayama this week, Circuit of the Americas next week, then Phillip Island. We're in for 3 spicy, as you say, JP, 3 spicy races to get this season started.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun, Austin. It's always fun in the Formula 1 side. It's going to be fun with these guys. We should see a bunch of action. And obviously round 3 as well. As we start off the first round of the season, on row number 1, we're going to have Ronaldo Carlos in the number 22. Alongside him, Chris Sanchez in second place on the number 5. Row number 2, we're going to have Kevin Simpson in the 606 and Chase Wilson in the 13 and 4th place. 5th place, we're going to have Milan Harris in the number 8 and number 26 of Drew Shank in the 6th spot. Row number 4, we're going to have Bobby Fleck in the number 88 and Travis Vaught in the number 09 in 9th position. In 8th position, should I say. 9th position, therefore, we're going to have Brendan Louvier in the number 52 of Stacy Bertrand.
Starting 11th, you'll find Matthew O'Leary in car 18, then Mario Miranda starts from 12th. A good qualifying effort there for car 99. Ilya Speaker rolls off 13th, Scott Angelo 14th. Your top 15 gets wrapped up with Dan Willis, then you'll find Devin Brock in car 12 in position 16. Further on back, you'll find Teague Ashburn, Aubrey Kundle, Billy Barriman, and Diego Eder wrapping up your top 20.
21st place, we're going to have Armando Bejaran, a driver we know a lot of in the number 05, the number 96 of Mike Braun as well in 22nd spot. 23rd, we're going to have, well, it looks like that's going to be all we have time for as lights are already on.
That'll be it for the grid, but we're still waiting on that green flag to be waved. And there it is. Green flag is out here at Okayama. The season is underway. There are some crashes. You can see them happening further back in the field. Things have stacked up quite a bit with some of these cars. We have got one heck of a first corner, first lap to go back and look at later on. Oh, another crash. One car hard in the wall. I think that's Milan Harris. Yes, it is. Ronaldo Carlos leads. Chris Sanchez second. Then Drew Swank, Kevin Simpson, Chase Wilson, your top five.
You see now, as we head into the massive straightaway, we should see a few moves right here happening. Andrew, you can see there Ronaldo just waving a little bit to break that slipstream. You can see a bit of side-by-side action between one of the Maradness cars, but looks like from the top 4, 5, 6, everyone stays single file, and it looks like that side-by-side action is also done.
Out of turn number 7, there is your race leader. One heck of a shot there right on the exit of Piper. You can see just how close these cars get. There's not much room there. One car even getting as close to the runoff as you possibly can.
Drivers definitely taking all the risks they can on these early stages and to get as close as they can to the drivers ahead to have the best opportunity possible to make an overtake. As you can see, this beautiful shot, all the Porsche of the headlights open, the beautiful background, and now as they enter the final corner, Andrew, that is lap 1.
Oh, that's a good shot too, isn't it? You see every car going right over the curbing there in turn 11 to wrap up the lap, and we've got some shade overhead. This is good. Some clouds giving these guys a little bit of break in the sunlight. Let's check out the running order up front first, then we'll go back and get a view as to what happened on lap 1. Ronaldo Carlos leading. It's Mike Sanchez second, then Drew Swank, Kevin Simpson, Chase Wilson, Miranda Flack, Louvier, Bertrand, and Watt make up the rest of your top 10. There's even a battle back here with Stacy Bertrand and Travis Watt. This is for 9th.
Could we see some move happening before the Atwood curve? Looks like not quite just yet. As you can see there, the number 52 goes deep on entry. Looks like washes a bit wide, but gets the better line overall as Watt is not able to close the gap too much. I think we could see Brandon Louvier, Andrew, coming under pressure.
Let's go back first and check out what happened on lap number 1. There's certainly going to be a lot to digest here, and we'll see what we're able to check out and, well, figure out from these first lap mishaps. So you can hear the engines fire up and get right up to that rev limiter, and something happens down here in turn 1 as we saw. This might be a pretty good view. Everybody fighting for that whole shot. 3-4 wide down to the corner. Let's slow this down and see where this starts. One Maradness car gets into the back of Stacy Bertrand. Then another Maradness car gets into the back of them. I think that's Matthew O'Leary potentially getting into the back of somebody else. That is the pink Maradness machine. The 68, it looks like. I'm not entirely sure who that is off the top of my head. But Maradness having some troubles. 58 maybe. Or 66. I'm not entirely sure. But you can see how everything stacks up from just a little bit of contact.
Yeah, just a lot of drivers fighting for the same piece of tarmac, Andrew. A few of them going defensive, a few of them going aggressive early on, and unfortunately, yeah, and you can see there the big bunch up. A few of the drivers further back having to pretty much come to a dead stop to avoid any contact. But yeah, not the start of the season we wanted to see, but still plenty of good racing still left to go.
Let's see if we can get one more look at this. We'll try and pick up Scott Angelo here in 1 second, and we'll get to where these guys fire off. And this should be a nice, interesting look as to what goes on down here in the first corner. Scott Angelo looks at the back end of Stacy Bertrand, gets into her, he checks up, and then gets hit. I believe that was a 12th of O'Leary that got him, and everybody just piles in. At that point, everybody's trying to get down to that first corner, JP, and it's really hard to tell a lot of racing drivers, 20 or 30 in fact, to just stop going into the first corner of the season. They all want to get all the spots they can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same old saying, you cannot win a race in lap number 1, but you can certainly lose it, and we saw a bunch of drivers, unfortunately, already losing their races and already kicking off the season in the wrong foot. So yeah, just a bit of misjudged aggression, Andrew, before even the first corner. Yeah, not what we want to see, but it's racing. It's bound to happen. We saw it happen in the 24-hour Le Mans, didn't we?
And we see it happen in so many races all the time. It is just a fact of racing, unfortunately, and that's just how it goes. I think even Mikhail Rudebush was talking in the league Discord earlier today about how the first races usually, you either have an incident in the first 2 corners or it's completely clean and green the entire time. It's just how it goes. You can sit down and, figure out who's at fault for this and that, but at the end of the day, it's just unfortunate as a whole, and, well, it is what it is. Now, that was not Matthew O'Leary that got into the back of his teammate. I'm not sure entirely who that was. It looked like there was number 12 on it, but I am very easily mistaken about that. But I know it was the Maradness car, whichever one has the blue accents, and I'm not entirely sure now who that was. I know we talked about it earlier in the day, or well, in qualifying, and now it's completely skipped my mind. So maybe Giuliano Romagnolo out there can clue me in as to who that might have been that got into their teammate. I know he's already not too thrilled about the fact that teammates got together, but hey, that's part of it sometimes. When you have a lot of them out on the racetrack, they will make contact eventually.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it does happen, especially when you have such a, I guess, a big quantity of the same team in the field. And we have how many more Madness cars? 4 or 5, I think we have. So, you know, it's bound to happen that sometimes they're gonna make a little bit of contact. And unfortunately, we saw 3 of them coming together in the first corner. Meanwhile, I think we're seeing a battle for not the lead. Oh, as one driver spins.
Speaking of a problem for Madness, that was Scott Angelo out of Piper, washing out, getting the grass, going for a spin, and the number 68 with Oceanic Coffee on the side of the car gets back in line right there behind Troy Dolan, one of the new drivers as well. Troy currently in position number 19. Started 29th though, so 10 spots in just a couple of laps here, JP. That's a good start to the day.
That is a fantastic start for the day as well for him, Andrew. But unfortunately, it's a terrible start for the season for us because, I mean, we're not even 10 minutes in and we already have the commentator scores happening against Moradnes. So not good to happen this early on. As you can see now, another Moradnes cars into the pit lane. That's David Stevenson. It looks like he's exiting it. I think it was due to damage on lap number 1, Andrew. But yeah, not the start that team wanted, is it? But, you know, still a long season. They can surely bounce back.
But they have a few more within their range to go up there and get a win. We talk about Brandon Louvier, who's actually in a battle right now with Stacy Bertrand down to turn 5 here into the hairpin. There goes Louvier trying to hang on to this spot. Louvier is still a very potent threat in this top 10. You cannot count out car 888. And with Stacy Bertrand there, sure, it might deter him for a little bit, might put him on some kind of detour, but he's still going to be quick and still a very viable shot for this race win.
Oh, absolutely, he will. I'm pretty sure every single driver right here has the capability, the potential to win the race. Obviously, you know, qualifying is going to dictate where you start, and that could be a factor, but we know how fast Louvier is. And the fun thing is, Andrew, about having all these new drivers is that we can actually compare them on race pace with drivers that we know are strong. So it's interesting to see how everybody's stacking up and how these battles are evolving. Meanwhile, you can see there Mario Miranda, the number 99, currently sitting in 6th place by the looks of it, chasing down Wilson just ahead. And looks like a small little train right here between these guys, Andrew, from 6th all the way to 4th, looks like.
We got a train of cars through the entire top 10, JP. The entire top 10 are only separated by about 5 2/3 of a second. And even down through the 12th spot, all cars are within 10 seconds of each other. That is rather close, being nearly 10 minutes into a hot race at Okayama. These guys doing a fantastic job of staying in a line and getting this race going. So the guys up front, fantastic job so far. The guys are on that mid-pack. Unfortunately, they got a little aggressive turn 1, lap 1, and well, you saw what happened. But Miranda, again, one of the stock car guys that, hey, he saw North American Racing League on our channel, decided, you know what, let's go ahead and sign up for it, and the Miranda Motorsport 99 is looking fantastic. This is really cool to see what a driver who usually is behind the wheel of a stock car in iRacing is able to do versus these road guys. Now, I know we think of him as an oval guy, a stock car guy, a NASCAR guy, making left turns for 4 hours, but it's not just that for Mario. He's actually a go-kart racer from Oklahoma. That might be a little bit different for you to hear from Oklahoma as he cuts off one driver. That was Bobby Flack taking a look to the inside of turn 9 there. But Mario actually races go-karts in Oklahoma, and I think he might have moved now, but originally from Oklahoma is at least what I'm aware of. So a very odd story for him, very cool story though. You can see from the plains, that's Oklahoma here in the United States. Not a place where you usually hear of drivers coming out of. I know Christopher Bell in the NASCAR circuit is from Norman, Oklahoma, maybe a few others from that area, but it's a place that isn't entirely rich with asphalt racing, be it road or oval. So to see this guy kind of moving his way up, both on road and oval, is pretty cool. And he's not just an oval racer. Again, he races go-karts, not on the dirt tracks, not on those silly little bull ring dirt tracks that, you know, you just kind of crash around at. No, on a proper road course in a kart, he gets the laps done.
Which is absolutely amazing to see as well, Andrew. I was going to ask you before you said he was a go-kart racer, if he could get some of the knowledge that he's definitely going to learn in the Porsche Cup to the NASCAR side of things. But, well, it looks like he has real-world experience, so he definitely doesn't need any extra, which is really good to see as well. So, we're definitely going to keep an eye out for the 99 during this whole season. And we're just going to have to wait and see. Excuse me, I'm sick. What a NASCAR boy, even though we won't call him that, can do against all these roadside drivers. Currently, you can see there Drew Strength in the number 26, Andrew defending. And this is where we saw Mario having a bit of trouble with drivers looking the inside. These final 2 corners, you can really look down the inside of some drivers due to how late the apex is.
There's a lot of weird corners here at Okayama. That's what makes it so fun. There's a lot of weird corners, tough corners that are just fun to race through. And Drew Swank is doing his best to hold off Kevin Simpson through each and every one of them. All 11 of them around here, each and every lap. 19 minutes to go. Big shout out to our partners here at the North American Racing League Virtual Racing School, Moradness, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting. Of course, VRS providing the amateur setups for each of these cars. Moradness providing a lot of driver coaching and a ton of the field lately. They are really stepping things up here at the North American Racing League and stepping into a really cool role to see them occupy with a lot of drivers, you know, as a perfect example of what these guys can get drivers to do. So what the coaches, Juliana Romagnolo and Daniel Moran, are able to get these drivers to accomplish. They have their drivers going out here, running laps and getting that coaching, putting it to use. And, well, you can see what it does in these races. You always see a neon yellow Moradness car somewhere towards the front of the field, no matter what series, no matter what track. So there's clearly a big effect there from the Radness. Tim Livery, JS Consulting, they make things look good, be it the league or the drivers in the league. There's so many Tim Liveries out there, and JS Consulting, of course, sets up that beautiful website that is up at NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com. 18 minutes to go, and you can see the effect of the first few moments. There is a big gap, well, a growing gap back here, really just growing gaps as drivers are settling into their own here. Ilya Speaker is somewhat close to that front end group. He is in the 11th position. You can see even the gap ahead from him to Travis Watt. It's rather large at this point, JP, 2.4 seconds. It's slightly closer to Teague Ashburn, but then things get spaced out again. 3 seconds to Armando Bejeron, as we saw. 4.5 seconds to Mike Braun. Then 6 seconds back to Sully Sad in car 79, and even an extra second back to Philip Pazurka, who is battling here, well, almost battling with Matthew O'Leary.
And obviously that's a bit of a challenge, at least in my opinion, for drivers that are running their own pace, because obviously they're just going to be chasing their own relative, and they're going to be looking at the relative, you know, the distance between them and the drivers ahead and behind. So, you know, it becomes a bit of a more of a time trial. Sometimes it's difficult to find the gains and, I guess, spot the losses on your lap. Meanwhile, if you're running on a train, you can easily identify where sometimes you're way quicker than the driver ahead, sometimes when you're way slower, and you can learn a thing or two by taking different lines, you know, just putting them under pressure or something. So it's two different stories on the same racetrack, Andrew, which is really, really interesting. But this is a really interesting battle as well. We're looking Brendan Louvier chasing down Bobby Flack.
And this is just behind Mario Miranda. Oh, contact there! Miranda goes around in turn 7, and Piper is the corner that catches car 99 and throws him to the curb, literally. Miranda down to the 10th position. We'll go back and get a look at it here in a moment. As you see Watt take a look there at Flack. These three cars all in a group now. Miranda nearly gets into the 09, but they stay clean for the moment. And through Hobbs, it looks like Miranda, I think, is definitely better right now than car 09, but we'll see how that changes. We'll let these guys finish up this lap and go back and take a look at what happened in turn 7.
Yeah, that was certainly interesting. That definitely got me scared a little bit, seeing how quickly how things changed. And as you mentioned, it was down in Piper Corner. And, well, we just gave him praise, Andrew. Is that the commentator's curse once again happening against us? But, yeah, it took 2 drivers out of that battle right here.
Oh, did it on his own.
Yeah, on his own. He just, I guess, touched a bit of the grass mid-entry, I think it was. And, yeah, unfortunately lost 2 positions.
Louvier made it right on through, but Bobby Flack was not so lucky. Let's check it out from his onboard. Onboard here at the Team Empire, number 88. Bobby with a good start to things today, staying in the top 10. Now he's down to the 8th spot, but was in 7th when this all happened. So you can see Mario a little bit offline into the hairpin. Slows him up a little bit. Bobby makes some ground up. Looks good through 6, through Revolver, then just a little bit wide, carried a little too much speed through the corner, and stayed wide into his turn-in point for turn 7, and got the grass, went right around.
Yeah, you can see him in Revolver. He went a bit wide. The car seems to have bottomed out or just, skipped something, and that definitely threw him off on the entry to Piper, and Fortunately for him, Andrew, it wasn't anything too serious. He was able to get it back racing pretty quickly, and it looks like with no extensive damage. So, yeah, small mistake. That's how things can easily change, and he's definitely going to be beating himself up over that one.
We haven't talked much about our race leader, Ronaldo Carlos, but car 22 is off to the races today, 1.7 seconds ahead of Chris Sanchez with 14 minutes to go just past the halfway point. And car 22, we don't know much about these two guys leading this race, but he has certainly got something going for him. This is a fantastic start to his season.
Absolutely. I don't recall, Andrew, Ronaldo joined us on the GT3 side last season, didn't he?
May have. We've had a few similar names, but I can't confirm nor deny that.
But yeah, we remember him. He raced on the 24 as well. But yeah, it's a really good start of the season for him. As far as I know, Sanchez, I think, has the fast lap of the race. So Ronaldo has just been doing consistently fast laps. Not the fastest, but just being consistent. And he's able to eke out that gap over Sanchez just behind, who has a healthy gap. He has 1 second to Shank just behind him. So, it's just time trial for these guys. Just a small gap up ahead, a small gap up behind. No room for mistakes. It's just a lot of pressure from these guys, which I love seeing these guys running in such a strong pace without any mistakes.
So out front, you've got a Brazilian, then an Australian chasing him. Where's Drew Swink from? We'll try and find car 26 on my entry blank here. Oh, we have a lot of cars entered into this series. I'm just noticing how expansive this series is as far as driver goes from New York. So throw in Drew Swink there in an interesting mix of the Brazilian and Australian, and then a New Yorker chasing them with 12 and a half minutes to go and a little bit of extra. So here we go, Kevin Simpson and Chris Wilson, or Chase Wilson rather, are rather close. Positions 4 and 5, cars 606 and 13. Oh, Thomas Amos with a problem here. That is not where you want to be parked. That is out of turn 9.
Yeah, just before the 2 final corners. So, and big damage right there. I'm not pretty sure if it was caused by this crash, but unfortunately for him, things took a turn for the worse. And it was definitely on exit. Now the question is, did he go too wide? No, he already has a bit of damage. So he can see he takes a bit of a tire line, and on exit, he loses all just putting the power down.
It is so easy to just spin this car out of turn 9 here. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe just when you pick the throttle up, because there's a little bit of natural camber in that corner, but it is so easy to loop this Porsche Cup car out of turn 9 at Okayama. And you see for Thomas Amos, it was very easy for him to do so. Drops now down to the 26th spot, right where he started. He was as high as 15th position, which put him in this battle with Zachariah Rosar that we'll take a look at here in a second. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at it now, because he's got Milan Harris breathing down his neck. This is into the hairpin.
And you can see very close between these two. You can take a few different lines on the exit of the hairpin as you head into Revolver. But you can see there, Andrew, nose to tail, applying a lot of pressure. And the question is, will we see any mistakes from these two? Running this close is very dangerous. Could we see a move down into Redman? Not quite. You can see their defensive action. So things are getting spicy on this final 11 minutes.
Zachariah Rosar fitting into his nice little role here with Team Empire. Bit of a new situation for him, at least I do believe he's joined Team Empire. Yes, Empire Racing there on the side of his car. So a nice new situation for Zach. Just ahead of the Rockefeller Racing number 8 of Milan Harris. No, they've got new paint schemes out there. A lot of new paints we'll have to try and get used to throughout the course of this season. This is a good looking one, and they've certainly spread things out. Of course, you saw Stacy Bertrand sporting one of their cars. Here's Stacy into turn 5, it looks like, just ahead of Bobby Flack. It's a good look at one of the new paint schemes out there this season.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, we're gonna have to get used to it. And I mean, I kind of still learning from the season, the paints from the previous season, Andrew. So having to start it all over again is going to be interesting. But you can see some different ones, which definitely will be easy to spike out. And yeah, just an amazing job done by the designers. You can see there a bit of a mistake from Stacy, and just behind got caught off. So plenty of action, plenty of good liveries, and I'm eager to see if the pros and pro-ams have also brought something interesting to the table.
Oh, I'm sure they have. We'll get there here in just a little bit. Oh, here we go. A pass for that spot that we were just looking at. Milan Harris goes on by Zachariah Rosar. So pass complete there for Milan. Now Michael Clark is, oh, look at this train of cars. This is back here in the 20s. This is well deep in the field, JP. Michael Clark in the 443 is 21st, and one car goes off. That is car 12. That is a lapped car, actually. Devin Brown going off the course. He was in a battle with David Stevenson just behind these guys. Troy Dolan that we're watching here, the chrome and yellow 65 is 22nd. Here's Clarence Rosa in the 23rd position. 24th is Joshua Benjamin. 25th is Joe Nagy, one of the newcomers with Rockefeller Racing.
And this is a fun little train right here. I'm loving seeing these guys running so close. This is actually a very similar livery we just saw from Stacy, isn't it? And
yep,
yeah, so yeah, going to be difficult putting those two side by side, Andrew. We're gonna have difficulty, I think, differentiating them from each other. There you go. That was a bit closer. But yeah, this is a fun little battle right here. We're gonna have heading into at what curve could we see some action as we quickly cut ahead to Revolver and Piper. This is also very close, Andrew.
And this is just a little ways ahead of these guys. This is 11 and 12. Teague Ashburn has actually caught Mario Miranda. Ilya Speaker went on by the 99 car a little while ago, so maybe some struggles now popping up for car 99. That car definitely did not look good through Redmond. I'm not sure what's going on for Mario right now, but that car does not look like it should. It is definitely pushing as this race goes on. Might have burned off the fronts. Might be damage as well. He's got a lot of left side damage. You can see it there. I know he got spun around and had that contact with Bobby Flack nosing into him, but I didn't think there was that much damage.
Yeah, but I think it's just fronts burning off. He's not having any front end grip because if you remember, he lost a bunch of ground heading into the braking zone, into the hairpin corner. He went a bit wide, missing the apex, and we just saw him going wide again in Redmond. So could be struggling with those front tires, Andrew. Unfortunately for him, he still has a few laps to go, at least 3 laps. So he needs to keep it composed, even though he might have to park the bus. But looks like right now he was able to eke out a bit of a gap. So it seems like a bit of a roller coaster. He wins the gap, he creates a gap on one part of the racetrack, but unfortunately loses on the second one.
We're expecting 20 laps here this evening. We're on lap 15. So if that gives you any kind of indication, we might have 5 more laps here for Ronaldo Carlos and the rest of the field. Here is Ronaldo. He is out of Piper, headed down to Redmond. This is turn number 8. I don't think we're going to get a full 5 laps left, maybe 4. Depending on time, we'll see how that changes. Oh, Chris Sanchez starting to get loose. These tires are definitely starting to wear off. You can see these guys sliding around, trying to struggle for grip, both in the front and in the rear. Stacy Bertrand with trouble here. Bobby Flack side by side.
You can see a bit of contact, maybe, not quite. And you can see, are they going to go side by side through turn 11? Not quite. You can see there, Bobby Flack gets the position. Andrew, a beautiful, bold move right there. And the number 88 gets ahead of the number 52. Now the question is, can he create enough of a gap to make him feel safe on that 7th position? And looks like he did that on the final corner. So a beautiful overtake right there we just saw.
So move Bobby Flack up back into the 7th position as there's a lot of company here. Joe Nagy battling with Michael Clark, Joshua Benjamin locking up, and Benjamin's going to go around. Car 78 in trouble there in turn 8, and one more car goes around. That is one of the Moratis cars, I believe Scott Angelo potentially, or is that David Stevenson? That is David Stevenson on the outside of the corner. Stevenson allows Devin Brock to go back by. Brock is that car that had gone off earlier in the battle. These are 2 lap cars with Brock and Stevenson. Brock had lost that spot, now gains it back.
Well, that's just how quickly some things change. You know, you just lose and you gain it right back. And unfortunately for Stevenson, he made a mistake as we cut ahead for the number 77. Looks like he's approaching Redmond corner. And yeah, that's Diego Eric. I mean, Andrew started in 20th, currently 29th. So not the opening, opening round. He won it, and yeah, he's going to get lapped soon. So in 5 minutes time, do you try to push to, not get lapped by the leaders, or you just let the leaders go and, well, cut pretty much the race 1 lap short?
It's an interesting question. I think if you're getting off tracks, maybe you let the leader go by so you can do 1 last lap and have less of a chance of taking a penalty. if you feel like you want to go run that extra lap, maybe keep pushing, try and stay ahead. But also, I think once you start to get those blue flags, and really once you start to see that leader within 1 second or maybe even a little bit less of you, just go ahead and let that leader by. Play nice. It's round 1. I know it's been an off day if you're in Diego's spot, but just play nice, get this round out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I share the same thoughts. And I mean, in Formula 1, we kind of get, just thinking about the next round. Some of these drivers are definitely going to be thinking about the next round early on. But, yeah, still a bunch of positions to be left decided. And as you can see there, Drew currently chasing down Sanchez for the 2nd place. That gap came down a few tenths of a second. It was 1 second. Now it's currently 8, 9, 10. So it's out there with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Things could still change. And I'm pretty sure on this...
Philip Pedurka. Philip Pedurka and Matthew O'Leary here out of turn 11, it looks like. And yeah, there's Pedurka. Matthew O'Leary has towed back to the pit lane. Let's go back and see what happened. Oh, both of these cars broadside on the front stretch. Never what you want to have. I'm not sure who was ahead of who at the time of issue. But Pedurka was behind. So it looks like this is going to start with Matthew O'Leary out of turn 11. Yes, sure enough. He goes sideways, gets out into the dirt, goes for a spin. Does he come back across the track potentially? Or no, Philip Pedurka has his own issue and spins down to the inside. And is going to try and go by. And O'Leary backs up into him. There goes the 777 of Joe Nagy. Oh my goodness!
Oh, that was what, 4 or 5 near misses. Wow, everybody got real lucky.
A pass here from Thomas Amos on Clarence Rosa.
Kind of worked on his favor as well, and he's gonna have that position. But that could have ended very terribly right there, Andrew. But luckily, it didn't. Wow.
We've got some more action back here in the midfield, in the deep field, really. Clarence Rosa, Thomas Amos, those cars we were just looking at. Look at them battle now through Redman. They're still in this single file configuration with Devin Brock and David Stevenson at the back end. Those are 2 lap cars, keep that in mind. But these 4 mostly in screen are for position that begins with Jory Dolan in the 65. As there is some contact there. Michael Clark goes around, collects Rosa, and those 2 are going to have some issues on the outside of 11. Brake checking, I feel like.
I don't know. He got lost on, between the last corner, just before the last corner. He, I think, dipped a wheel on the grass, and looks like he's gonna park it.
What happened there with Clarence Rosa? It looked like it was brake checking the way he kept slowing down, but he could have just been frustrated. That being, of course, the 443 of Michael Clark, not Clarence Rosa. Let's see what happens. Mike Knight corner, he just gets out into the grass, locks it up to try and miss it, comes back over into Rosa. And right there, the way he stops, it looked like he was brake checking, but maybe not. As he had an issue. He was blinking for a long time as well, so maybe now a clearer look ahead for some of those cars that were chasing him.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything intentional, unfortunately, I don't know, just didn't press the gas pedal maybe and took avoiding action, but unfortunately his race is done and dusted, Andrew. As we cut to this little train right here, this is definitely not done and dusted. No,
this is inside the top 10. This begins with Kevin Simpson, continues with Chase Wilson, Brandon Louvier, Bobby Flack, and Stacy Bertrand. So this is 4th down through the 8th position. And you can see ahead, Drew Swank is starting to get closer to Chris Sanchez, but not quite there, as Wilson is going to look to make a move into the hairpin.
And down the inside he will go. Can he stick it? You can see there the door has been closed. Now plenty of space. You can still go side by side on this section. Will we see that? Not quite. The number 13 unfortunately backs out, Andrew. So that was beautiful attacking and beautiful defending at the same time. And they're still very close. Still a few opportunities left to pass, as it looks like we're going to be approaching the white flag very soon.
That we are. Here is car 22, Ronaldo Carlos. We're going to get all 20 laps in here today at Okayama. Of course, this is a timed race, 30 minutes. But surprising that we're getting this many laps, 20 laps. That means we're going to have somewhere to the tune of, 35, 40 laps maybe for the pro race? Something like that, as Ronaldo Carlos comes across the line and takes the white flag. 1 lap to go at Okayama, presented by Whiplash Simcams.
Final effort to these drivers to essentially get as many points as they can, possibly avoiding penalties as well, Andrew. We could see some drivers you know, just being on the edge of those incident points, as you can see there. But yeah, just one final lap. As you can see there, Sanchez really closed the gap. It's closing in quite a lot.
He saved something here for the last lap. He's within a second. He might have the draft down this backstretch, and JP, if he does, he's going to close in quite a bit.
Could we see Ronaldo running out of fuel maybe and just saving as much as he can?
We shouldn't see fuel play a factor. Carlos closes in by, or Sanchez rather closes in by a 10th there on Carlos. Another 10th in turn 5. Closing in aggressively is Chris Sanchez. I'm getting these names mixed up. We'll have it sorted out next week, I'm sure. And oh, Chris Sanchez wide. That's gonna, I think, end this run for the win. Wide out of Revolver. Yeah, gives up those couple of tenths. I think that's his run at the win done.
Yeah, that may have just cut it early. Luckily for these guys, do they still have plenty of space? We saw a few lockups up ahead, but the number 13 looks like he's going to be retaining that position. Up ahead, looks like that's not going to be enough for Sanchez as Ronaldo Carlos exits the second to last corner, enters the final one, and now exits it pretty cleanly, and he's going to be taking home, Andrew, the victory on the season open of the NARL Porsche Cup.
It's Carlos, Sanchez, and Swank, your top 3. Simpson hangs on to 4th across the line with Wilson side by side in 5th, and Louvier, Flack, Bertrand. Watt will come across the line in 9th, Speaker in 10th.
And you can see a few of the rest of the 10th to 20th will cross the finish line. And Andrew, what an opening race we just had from Okayama. Certainly delivered, didn't it?
It always does, JP. It always does. Okayama always delivers good racing, no matter what you bring here, no matter how you do it, how long it is. I would actually like to see an endurance race here. I think that would be pretty exciting. I know it'd be tight at some points, but being a free track, one that a lot of drivers cut their teeth on in road racing, on iRacing, I think it'd be a great way to spend a few hours of time, maybe even a whole 24 hours of time. I would really like to see a proper endurance race here at Okayama International Circuit. Your top 20 gets finalized by Thomas Amos coming across the line. Troy Dolan comes across. Then Joshua Benjamin will take 22nd. Kerry Corcoran, Clarence Rosa, and Billy Barriman will be the final car to cross the line and finish in round number 1 for the amateurs. Here is car 102 coming down to the start-finish line.
And you can see he's going to be crossing over the finish line. And that's gonna do it for the amateur side, Andrew. But luckily for not only us, the drivers and the viewers, we still have one more race left.
That we do, and we might even have Ronaldo Carlos and Chris Sanchez here in a few moments. We'll see if we do. But let's go ahead and go down our unofficial race results from race number 1, JP. It begins with a Brazilian.
Exactly. The number 22, Ronaldo Carlos, is going to win the race. He led all 20 laps. Behind him, the number 5 of Chris Sanchez. Behind him, Drew Shank finishes in 3rd place. Kevin Simpson is going to finish in 4th ahead of Chase Wilson. Brendan Louvier is going to end up, there you go, holding off the 6th place ahead of Bobby Flack. Stacy Bertram is going to finish in 8th place ahead of Travis Watt. And Elias Speaker, Andrew, is going to finish in the top 10.
Finishing 11th, you'll find Mario Miranda in his first start here with the North American Racing League. His first road racing league race? I'm not totally certain on that, but I know he doesn't run organized road racing like this very often on the sim. I know he's run, previous events with prototypes and such in the official iRacing special events, but as far as a road league goes, this might be his first, and he goes 11th place this evening. Teague Ashburn there in 12th, Armando Bejar on 13th, Mike Braun and Sully Sad round out your top 15. Milan Harris drops down to 16th. Unfortunate start of the season for Milan and Zach Rosar in 17th. Even Scott Angelo there, who qualified much better than 18th. Joe Nagy and Thomas Amos round out your top 20.
21st place, we're going to have Troy Dolan ahead of Joshua Benjamin. Kerry Corcoran is going to finish in 23rd, ahead of Clarence Rosa. Billy Barrowman is going to finish in 25th. Diego Ere in 26th. Philip Bedurka in 27th, ahead of Devin Brock. David Stevenson, Michael Clark in 30th place.
And to round out your field, 3 more cars in line. It's Matthew O'Leary, Dan Willis, and Aubrey Kundle, your 33 drivers in full. Now, As we mentioned, we'd be open to interviews here with your top two, Ronaldo Carlos and Chris Sanchez. I know I see an Alex Sanchez out there. I'm not sure if there's any relation, but if you two are listening, connect to the Pit Stop TV Discord channel. We can get you in here. We will wait around for a couple of moments, but we're looking for the top two, Ronaldo Carlos and Chris Sanchez. In the meantime, JP, let's talk about some upcoming broadcasts here on Pit Stop TV, beginning with the Lone Star Racing GT3 Series. We're not racing Porsche Cups and GT3 cars at the same time anymore in the North American Racing League, but you can still see some GT3 action here on the channel Monday evening at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. That is a one-off for us. That is their season finale, and we'll even see some drivers from maybe even the North American Racing League, but I also know that some drivers are coming over from the MPI Cup Series and running that last race with those guys and potentially joining on for a longer term. Then Wednesday, we'll find the Outlaws Sim Series at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway up in Loudon, New Hampshire. Should be a lot of fun. And Thursday, look at that, we're doubling up on COTA. It is the North American Racing League taking Porsche Cup cars to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. JP, a lot of great tracks coming up.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly going to be a lot of fun, Andrew, racing not only at COTA, but obviously coming back to COTA. Well, should I say, there you go. For, two different leagues. Obviously, one of them is going to be a finale. It's certainly going to be loads of fun. Make sure you don't miss it at all. And it's going to be interesting, Andrew. We mentioned on pre-broadcast the difference between the GT3 and the Cup car. We could be seeing some differences and similarities over there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to be honest with you, JP. I missed that. I'm trying to get Chris Sanchez in here. I think Chris might need the NARL role. So, guys, if you are new to the Pit Stop TV server, go ahead and go to Roll Reacts. And it's one of the channels in the general grouping there. And, Chris, you should be able to join Broadcast Waiting. Going to see if we can get him in here. I know Chris Sanchez has checked in, so we'll try and get Chris around. But while we have that moment waiting here, JP, where can these guys find Pit Stop TV broadcasts?
Well, you can follow us on each and every single social media at facebook.com/pitstoptv, twitter.com/pitstoptv_, instagram.com/pit_stop_tv, and obviously on youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
So while we try and get Chris Sanchez in here, one other note I want to talk about is, of course, the schedule coming up for this season. Here's one more look at it. Okayama now done and dusted for the amateurs, but we've still got a Pro-Am race ahead. Then it's Austin, Circuit of the Americas next week, Phillip Island in 3 weeks' time, actually, as we have a week off at the back end of June. Then Silverstone, Montreal, Indianapolis, Suzuka, and Bathurst to round things out. And here we go. Chris Sanchez has joined, and Chris, one heck of a first round for you. You start pretty well towards the front of the field. I want to say second place. We'll get the graphic up in 1 second. And you stay there the entire day. Just a good way to start things off, I'd say, here in Japan.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I think at the start of the race, I feel like I could have pushed a little bit more, maybe tried a few opportunities, but I'm happy with the result.
And we theorized that maybe you saved something for the end there. It looked like you had a second wind all of a sudden. You got way closer to Ronaldo Carlos there in the closing laps. Were you saving something there for him, or did you fall back and just get right back to where you were?
Well, I think the whole race, I tried to save tires till the end, and then Carlos started to lose it a bit at the end there. I mean, he did a beautiful race the whole time. I saw him locking up a bit at the end, so I thought there might be a little bit at the end. So, yeah, I tried to keep it.
Well, there you go. Chris Sanchez, round one, a pretty good start to the season. How do you feel about Circuit of the Americas next week?
Not good. We've had so long practicing on Okayama, so I was happy with where I was sitting, but I've never raced at Austin before, so scary.
Well, Chris Sanchez gets a great start of the season. We'll see how he can do in Texas next week. Best of luck to you, Chris. We'll talk to you next week at COTA.
Thank you. Thank you.
A good first round there for Chris. Let's go on down to Drew, Swank, and JP. This guy finishes third. It looks like we won't get Ronaldo this evening, but hey, third place is still a pretty good start.
Absolutely it is. And Drew, well, we talked a bit on the private, just waiting for you to get on the broadcast. I absolutely butchered your name on the broadcast, so I'm going to apologize in advance. But a third place finish on the first round of the season isn't, well, it's obviously not first or second, but it's still a very good result, isn't it?
Yes, it's hey, I'm pretty stoked about it, to be honest. I think I could have gotten P2 if it wasn't for, I don't know if you saw the guy coming out of the pit at the second to last lap, but at the back marker. But man, I was closing in, and then I lost my draft from that.
So a bit unfortunately coming close to second place. And I mean, once you settle down to your rhythm, how difficult was it, to essentially catch, Sanchez up ahead? How difficult was it to get those few extra tenths of a second per lap?
I think for me, this is my first league race ever. And I've only been doing this seriously for like 4 months. So, I mean, I think for the most part, I haven't had much time in this car, maybe less than 20 hours total, maybe. So I didn't want to over push it, but, at 7-minute mark, I was like, okay, it's time to push. And then, I did the best I could.
Well, absolutely. And now heading into COTA, I mean, what are the expectations now with this good result? It should be your second ever league race. I mean, the nerves are probably going to be a bit, calmer, I guess you can say, a bit under control. Do you think we can see maybe, a top 2, top 1 finish?
Absolutely. I can guarantee it, actually.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. We're definitely going to keep an eye out for that one then.
Please. Thank you.
So yeah, with that being said, Drew, I'm going to let you focus on for COTA because now you're going to have to keep up your promise. I mean, we're going to be expecting a first or second place finish. But with that being said, I'm going to wish you the best of luck and we will talk to you next week.
Hey, thanks so much.
Absolutely. And Andrew, that was Drew. Well, he looks confident. And for the first ever league race, I think that's the second time we've had that, Andrew. And it was on the Porsche Cup last season, wasn't it? So good to see. And hopefully we can see a good story out of the 26 by the end of the season.
It seems like the North American Racing League just has a way of getting drivers started in their sim racing careers and doing it the right way. A big shout out to our partners here with the North American Racing League Virtual Racing School, Moradness Driver Coaching, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting, and our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Media, SimCam, SimWrapMarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. We will take a step aside, of course, go to our traditional intermission here between races, and be right back to you with Pro and Pro-Am racing action from Okayama International Circuit in Japan.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Okayama, Japan, and we're excited to bring you this season opener for the North American Racing League Porsche Cup season number 2. This is going to be exciting, JP. We've moved on from the noon time anyways in the sim to about afternoon, and things are getting even warmer here in virtual Japan. Let's go ahead and get right down into the sim. It's going to be fun. I'm very much excited for this first race of the season for the pros and pro-ams. I'm excited to see how things go, how the temperatures change, and how, well, season champion from one season ago, Victor Miranda, is able to do against these new guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a nice thing to keep an eye out for, and you can see they're 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be interesting to see how the big names, and especially how the reigning champion is going to cope with all the pressure of being a reigning champion and having to deliver. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the pro and pro-am side of the things, Andrew. I'm pretty sure you're excited. Emerson behind the social media side of things is also excited, and yeah, I mean, let's get down to it.
Thanks for mentioning that, actually. I hadn't mentioned Emerson yet today. Of course, JP Costa joining me on the mic today, and Emerson Arden, as per usual, at least as usual as we're able to make it on our social media efforts. Always love having Emerson Arden around, and a big shout out to him. We're even going to his home track next week in Circuit of the Americas. Maybe we can find a way to get him on the mic with us next week. We'll see how that can go. But very excited for this round. Victor Miranda does go fastest so far in qualifying. Still 3 minutes to go, and plenty of time for things to change. Ricardo Rico is third on the board, and well, not the top car that's still out there. Here's the top car that's still out there. One of Victor's teammates, Eric Goldner, in car 10. And it looks like Dino Filippa in the second spot. Ricardo Rico there in the third spot. And oh, Eric practicing a standing start. Love to see that.
Yeah, that's extremely important, Andrew. We saw, how difficult starts can be on the amateur side just 20, 30 minutes ago. And you can see there, number 34 taking it to the edge. And qualifying is as close as we can get. I think less than a tenth of a second. Still 2 minutes and 30 to go. And yeah, I'm liking the paints as well, Andrew, from your, I guess, noises, you can say. They look very nice.
That's one way to put it. This is a really cool looking number 60 for Daniel Thomas. Love that. Jacob Stofko has a pretty good looking one as well in car 34. Scott Reister out there. Let's see if his paint has changed at all. It's not in the car right now, so it's not going to update for us, unfortunately. How about Rafael Bonifacio potentially in car 121? Can't really see it from there, can we? This might be a better look. A good-looking 121 from him. More cars on the track. Here's Aaron Folkerts. And we've got 41 drivers in this race, JP, or at least in this qualifying session. And there are not as many pro-ams as I would have thought. A lot of pros this season.
Yeah, looks like pros are dominating, which is something that we didn't have last season. It was certainly more pro-am, I guess, paced the season. But so far, things have changed. You can see there's Staropoli as well on the pro-am side. And this is going to be interesting, Andrew. And as well, something we don't see too often, a full pro top 10. The first pro-am, the pole position for the pro-ams is in 11th place. But still, I mean, it's still odd to see a full-on blue top 10, isn't it?
It really is. That's Interesting that you mentioned that. Those drivers in the top 10, Victor Miranda, Dino Filippa, Ricardo Rico, Eric Goldner, Lawrence Zavadil, who is now a pro instead of a pro-am, Nicolas Rubilar, Matthew Dench, Bruno DeCarmo, Roger Resende, and Giuliano Romagnolo. So you'll recognize a lot of those names. Coming to my mind, of course, Miranda, Zavadil, Rubilar, Dench, DeCarmo, and Romagnolo. New names though in that top 10, Filippa, Rico, Goldner, and Resende there in the 9th position. Wayne Castile checks in on the 3rd spot, your top pro-am, not 3rd spot, 11th spot, your top pro-am driver out here, and quite a ways ahead of Lewin Hott for Duckhawk Racing. Alex Persian this season for Moradnis is a pro-am in car 79. Curtis Jones a pro-am for Pacific Sim Motorsport, and Bryce Rodriguez a pro in car 26 and 17th, and Daniel Thomas, Jacob Stofko in 19th, and Scott Racer currently completing your top 20 in qualifying, and no cars are on track.
Which is quite odd. It's definitely the opposite that we saw from the amateur side. Drivers, I think they don't need a lot of practice, Andrew. They're the pros and pro-ams, but yeah, this track can still catch them out. It's still very tricky. It's still very unforgiving, and I think we might see a few mistakes here and there after the first lap.
A few?
I'm being conservative. Okay. What is more than a few, but not a lot?
Well, you know, you've got one, which is one. You've got a couple, which is two. A few is three. Several, I always feel is like, I feel like several is always 7 or more. So some, I think, fits right in around maybe 4, 5, 6, right in there. So I think that's actually a good number. Let's go ahead and go down to the grid and check out our starting order for our pro race. Victor Miranda on pole, Dino Filippa there in position number 2. Starting from the 3rd spot, it's Ricardo Rico in car 51, then Eric Goldner in 4th. Starting 5th, you'll find Lawrence Zavadil, then Nicolas Rubilar. We went through a lot of these guys already, so we'll speed this up. Matthew Dench, Bruno DeCarmo there, 7th, 8th, and Roger Resende and Giuliano Romagnolo starting from 10th.
11th place, we're going to have Wayne Castile in 11th place, the first Pro-Am driver, the pole position. And alongside him, we're going to have Durazano, looks like. The number 190 of Marcelo Canoff is going to start in 13th place. Alongside him, Lewin Hott in the number 270 in 14th place. 15th place, we're going to have Alex Persian, the number 79. Alongside him, Curtis Jones in the 16th place. The 999 Alex Persian, obviously a previous amateur driver. Bryce Rodriguez is going to start in 17th place. Alongside him, Daniel Thomas in 18th. And row number 10, we're going to have Jacob Stofko and Scott Reister in 20th place.
Starting 21st, how about Kevin Kuriche back in the field from Uruguay, starting 22nd to Scott Kimbrough, then 23rd is Rafael Bonifacio, followed up by Cody Johnson in position 24. Starting 25th, you will find James Hansen in car 904, then Mikhail Rudebush there in 26th. 27th, you'll find Ryan Kerr from Radness. Tony Kanaan joining the field this evening. Car 6 starts from the 28th position. Right at your top 30, you've got Samsoid and Aaron Folkerts. That's all we've got time for is the red lights are on, which means green lights are on the way here in round number 1 for the pros and pro-ams at Okayama Circuit. Green flag is out. We're off and away. Oh, one car around. The 60 of Daniel Thomas. Oh, Scott Reister involved. One car careening over our camera. Kevin Kuriche in it. Oh my goodness.
Already some big incidents on lap number 1, just like we had on the amateur side. You can see there's the leader trying to break the toe a little bit. And you can see even free wide action, Andrew, already in lap number 1.
A lot of great action down to turn 5. The hairpin for the first time. Romagnolo up the inside into Matt Dench almost, as you've got Bruno DeCarmo getting into the mix. A whole lot of action on this first lap for the pros.
You can see there's still pretty much half the track left, Andrew. I'm pretty sure we're going to see more action. We could see a few side-by-sides on this last sector. And you can see there, I think we were setting up to it. And you can see there are a few drivers taking on the apex. Could we see, there we go, side-by-side action. And that could really throw, something that could really slow them down on this final 2-3 corners.
Love these curb shots to open up this race. So many cars popping those curbs. getting as close as they can this first lap, getting all the time they're able to wrap things up for lap number 1. Randy, your leader, then Felipe, Rico, Goldner, Zavadil, Romagnolo, Denster, Carmel, Rubilar, and Resende, your top 10.
And there you go. That's the top 10 across the line. You can see there one hot now. He's the leader on the Pro-Am side, as we're gonna have. You can see there the number 270 cutting further behind. You see a few of those green color. I just forgot the name. Andrew, I don't know what's happening to me, but there's a lot of cars, and you can see there are a few actions coming into the entry of the back straightaway. Almost we saw an overtake right there. We don't usually see that. But there you go, one more just like that. It looks like a full-time esports. A car got passed, and looks like we might see, that's actually TK. And you can see him looking to the outside. Could we see a move into their hairpin from TK? Braving in around the outside, breaks deep. He's going to have to turn in as well, and he could have that position.
And that was with Bonifacio there into turn number 5, into the hairpin for the first time today. Or second time, rather. Let's go ahead and go back to the start of this race and see what happened a little bit earlier on. There was a lot. There is a lot for us then to break down. Let's check it out, or at least do the best we can to check it out here at the start of this one. It started around the, I want to say, Scott Racer area, but I can't find Scott on the list. This might work for us. Here we go. As they headed to turn number 2, there was a lot going on. That was turn 1. One car got shoved off there in contact. It was a 34. I think Stavko got shoved off in contact with Bonifacio. And then things started actually around the 60 of Daniel J. Thomas. Look at Racer. That was not Racer into the wall. That was somebody else. Racer got through. Was that Scott Kimbrough, maybe? Yes.
And yeah, that was a big one. You can see one car came in a bit late and was able to avoid that just barely, essentially. And but yeah, unfortunately, some big names already taken out. And we're gonna have a second replay of this, Andrew. You can see there a bit nearly 3 wide action.
Oh, Kurche got loose and backs up into Thomas. And unfortunately, Kimbrough came across the racetrack just a little bit and collected one more car that I think wouldn't have been otherwise. And Stavko goes by the stopped cars, almost spins again himself. What a first lap there. There was an issue as well for Ryan Kerr somewhere up the road. Let's see if we can find this for him. Oh, there's the 3 turned around. That's Wayne Castile from Aradnis, one of the Pro-Ams. And this was the battle down to the hairpin on lap number 1.
You can see there are a lot of guys actually trying to brave it on the action. You can see a bit of a lock up there.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, indeed. I think that's the perfect word to summarize it. And, yeah, I mean, these guys were not afraid at all, which is sometimes really good, but sometimes can also backfire pretty badly.
We have just had another incident live. This will look similar because it's into the hairpin as well, but watch the 22 for PSM, Pacific Sun Motorsport there, Mikkel Ruderbusch. He comes down out of Revolver, and there's contact. I'm not sure who that is that gets into him. It looks like that might have been, I don't think it was Persian. It was one of the other Maradnis cars, maybe Joshua Lane in car 192 that turns him around, and it unfortunately collects one of Ruderbusch's teammates in Daniel J. Thomas, who's already had his issues, and Lane got punted off shortly thereafter by Kurche.
Yeah, just got punted off, and you can see he's going to rejoin. Be careful right there. He's going to actually go side by side, turn 9, and he's going to unfortunately yield that position. But, yeah, things are really picking up already, Andrew, and we're not even 10 minutes in, just like the amateur race.
That's just how it goes here at the North American Racing League. There is never a shortage of action in NARL events. It's just how it goes, so you better get used to it if you're new. Victor Miranda leading. Dino Filippa in the second spot. One of the brand new names to us here at JP. Looking fantastic. No complaints here so far for car 71.
No, absolutely not. He looks like he's not, I mean, he's not really close. You can see 1.2 seconds, but he's not, I guess, shaken up by, just being followed, just trying to follow the reigning champion. He's doing a fantastic race on his own, and Andrew, things could definitely change. We still have 44 minutes left, but yeah, it's a good showing from the number 71. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
So on board here with car 71, about a second difference down to the first corner, and they are now on to lap 5. I had theorized earlier about a potential of about 34 laps, 35 laps, well, we're at 34 laps. Expected for this race, and the pit stop may bring that down to 33, but we're still looking at quite a few laps. It's more than we usually get out of circuits here in the North American Racing League. And we've talked about this circuit quite a bit already today, JP. It is one of the shorter circuits we'll see this season. Only 2.27 miles, only 2.25. That's shorter than the oval at Daytona or the oval at Indianapolis. That's not very long.
Yeah, that is an extremely extremely short.
You put it like that, shorter even than Daytona. That, I guess, it kind of shows that it's short. But you can see there another move. Is that TK just making those moves left, right, and center?
That was Bruno DeCarmo.
Oh, there you go.
Tony Kanaan is much further back. Tony's actually in the 18th spot. Bruno DeCarmo leading the way for full-time esports in the 7th position. Still good runs out of each of them so far, especially when you consider where Tony started. He started deep in this field, got a little bit of damage there on the nose of that car, but here is Tony Kanaan, started 28th into 18th position. And Nicholas Rubelar now goes on by, or is battling here with Matthew Dench. Side by side they go through Redman and through Hobbs, now down to Mike Knight corner. They're back single file. A good look at the Australian. He's got 2 tracks on the list this season, of course. We saw him win the only previous Australian round for this series. That was Phillip Island a couple of seasons ago with the GT3 cars. And Matthew Dench, one of the top drivers in this series, always fighting for a top 10, if not better, maybe even a top 5. And JP, he's certainly going to be, I think, in full form this season and looking to capitalize on both Phillip Island and Bathurst.
Oh, absolutely he will. And he's going to have that home track advantage. It's definitely going to grant him a few tenths of a second per lap. And I was just thinking, he might be one of the few drivers that has been with NARL since the first season.
Yeah, I think guys like Fabio Zamperlini in that list as well. There aren't many.
Yeah, there are not a lot, so it's really good to see some, I guess you can say, OGs on the field still, and he's doing a fantastic job, Andrew. 8th place already on the start. He definitely wants to go higher, but, I mean, just grabbing those points, race by race, making sure you finish them, could grant you a great result at the end of the standings, and I'm eager to see what the 283 is going to do on those home tracks of his.
How about a little further forward, Lawrence Zavadil now with Pacific Sim Motorsport. A bit of a change in color for him in more ways than one, now in this very colorful number 24 car. And with a lot of teammates out there as well to bounce things off of, and I think really he's beginning to lead their campaign. You see guys like Daniel J. Thomas and Mikael Rudebusch, they had good moments already in this race, but much further back. Brady Lubinow, I don't see him in the field today at all, so not the greatest start to the season for PSM as, Scott Reister has a problem. He'll drop down behind Samsoid. Now you've got 3 of the larger personalities in this series nearly in a row. Tony Kanaan 16th, Samsoid 18th, and Scott Reister in the 19th spot as he has his issue and now jumps in line ahead of Agustin Castro in car 001.
And Agustin is another driver that moved up in classes, didn't he, Andrew? So it's interesting. It's always fun to see those drivers that in the previous season were in the amateur side and now are in the pro-am fighting with the big guns. And Agustin is definitely one of them. You can see, unfortunately, quite substantial amount of damage to the front end of that Porsche. Is definitely going to be costing him a few tenths of a second per lap. But yeah, I'm sure he's going to get that fixed on the pit stops, and then we're going to see the true pace of the 001.
You know what? Let's go back to the fact that it's a shorter track. Only 2.27 miles. So there's only one big straightaway here, and that's the backstretch where they're on now. The front stretch is close. Otherwise, I think you can afford to have a little bit of damage. The front downforce isn't affected heavily, at least not as heavily as it probably should be. We have a little bit of damage, so you can get away with a bit of front damage in these Porsche Cup cars and still have a viable contender underneath you. You can ding things up a little bit at these shorter tracks and still be okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the advantages of running on this type of track. We just saw a move right there, I think. Beautiful dive bomb, pretty much what we saw from Laui Senti, so one of the guys that we are already familiar with. So that was a good move right there. But yeah, that's one of the advantages of running a shorter track. You can kind of get away with a bit of damage. It's still going to cost you time, but nowhere near as much time as, let's say, you were in Le Mans or Spa-Francorchamps.
Laui Senti hanging on to the 22nd position up here, just ahead of Mitchell Johnson in car 21. Cody Johnson as well in this line for PSM. So a lot of new names out there for them. Wayne Castile and Eric Sarpoli do battle through turn 1. Castile takes that spot. Bryce Rodriguez is back here. He's in the 29th position, JP. One of the pro drivers just not quite getting along with this Porsche Cup car, it looks like. We know him very well from the GT3 cars. We even saw him in the IORL Indianapolis 500, making his first oval race appearance, at least here on Pit Stop TV. That was very cool to see. See somebody go from NARL over to IORL like that. And I think he's even run more races than just the Indy 500, but we saw him in the Indy 500, now defending here over Damon Duckworth. Very close, even drafting now down to the hairpin. But Bryce Rodriguez is getting around all of a sudden. He's got his YouTube endeavors with Evolution Racing. He's beginning to become a bit of a coach. He's doing a whole lot there with that Evolution Racing program, getting his father all nice and quick as well, Rob Rodriguez Jr., who won the championship last season in GT3 cars. The Rodriguez guys are getting things going.
Absolutely, and I found out his channel, Andrew, actually, Evolution. I think we were... Oh, yes, we have one car spun around, looks like. And that is Eric Starpoli, so he's going to get that rejoined safely, looks like. I don't see a lot of damage, so I think he got lost on his own. But quickly returning to Bryce, I think we had a race at Detroit, and I somehow found his channel on YouTube, and I love the contact ever since. He even put up the highlights from us commentating, so he's definitely talented, not only behind the wheel, but behind, you know, the editing and the computer stuff as well.
Here we go, battle side by side, Castile and Kurtche. Kurtche hanging on for now. A couple of Pro-Ams going after it in 25th and 26th. Let's go further up, but stay in this class, JP. Luan Hot leading in Pro-Am competition for now. Car 270 off to a pretty solid start and in the 12th position. I think I had earlier called him out as being one of the Duck Hawk Racing drivers, but it seems like that is no more, and I don't recall the team name here. We can go to our entry list, I'm sure, and find it, but that's a few extra clicks for me. We went hot, though, off to a really good, hot start, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Following a teammate, I think. Is he? Yeah, following Marcelo Canoff, so teammates here working together.
There you go. So yeah, he's part of U-Race BR, so it's definitely a Brazilian team right there from Luan. Obviously a Brazilian driver as well. He's doing a great job, Andrew. He didn't qualify on pole, but he definitely got the lead of the class as we have Nicolas Rubilar. Looks like for an early stop, Andrew. So
very early.
Is the pit window already open? I want to say I hope it is.
I guess so.
You know, for the sake of the 77. Otherwise, he's gonna have a really bad run later on. But it looks like he's going for an early, very early undercut, and you're gonna have to wait and see how that works out for him. 7.95 on the box, and he's gonna be rejoining the track, and well, he's gonna be losing at least 27 seconds. But looks like he's gonna be rejoining a small patch of clear air right here.
Good to see a clean start there for our NARL competitions. Nicolas Rubilar, he's had some rough goes of things lately, especially the 24-hour race at Watkins Glen a month ago. They did not have a great outing. They were good early and then just had a couple of incidents stack up and take them out of competition, but good to see an Irish competition in a better spot today, and we'll see how this pit strategy works out for him. One other driver taking to the strategy, JP, is going to be Ryan Kerr in the 888 for Maradness. And here is car 888, 9 seconds on the pit lane. A bit longer there than Nicolas Rubilar by about 1.1 seconds. 29 seconds in the lane, that was 1.6 seconds longer than the stop for Rubilar. So weird difference there. Definitely took a little more time in the pit lane versus the pit stop.
So yeah, and we're gonna see that time shifting up and down. We're gonna have to see which driver maximizes that, not only the pits times, but the pit, I guess, the whole pit stop sequence, we could say, you know, the best. But it's still quite a few ways away, isn't it, Andrew? Still 34 minutes of racing, and we know some of these guys leave it until the final absolute drop of fuel. Currently on board with Juliano Romagnolo.
Oh, that is Juliano Romagnolo. He will let you know it is Giuliano. You know, I did that a million times to get going. Giuliano, the top coach, I suppose, with Maradness, gets a lot of these Maradness E-stars into shape, and he's definitely doing good things today, JP.
Oh, absolutely you will, and Andrew, you kind of know me, even though I'm going to say Giuliano right now. Sometimes I think it will slip the Juliano. I don't know absolutely why I did that, but the number 55 currently running in a good place right here. He's currently in 6th place, if I'm not mistaken, so he's doing a good job. And he can see, I mean, the top 3, I think, ahead of him. So it's still the game of small margins, trying to eke out each and every single tenth of a second. But once you get into this high level, it's very difficult to do so.
Giuliano putting that pressure on the top 5. We'd like to get up there and vie for a solid position. We have a lot of you guys watching out there, so by all means, let us know where you're watching from this evening. I know we've got a rather international crowd. We get a lot of Brazilians. We have a driver from Uruguay out there. I know we have some Australians with Matthew Dench and Chris Sanchez running in this series, so let us know where you're watching from, who you're pulling for today. I know there's going to be a wide variety of fans from all across the world.
That's one of the beauties of NARL as well. Not only the drivers from all around the world, we have Brazilians, Australians, people from North America, people from Europe as well, people from South America. It's always fun to see, people from different nationalities coming together in such a big event. And it's obviously nice to see fans as well from all around the world watching them and cheering up for them. So I guess that's one of the beauties that we see with NARL, as well as some nice racing, Andrew. We just saw, I think, a move down into turn number 1 right there. But yeah, fantastic racing, fantastic drivers, and a fantastic crowd watching us from home as we have a few extra cars diving into the pit lane, and it looks like Bryce Rodriguez is one of them.
Bryce Rodriguez into the pit lane. The only driver currently on the pit lane, and it's not been a great start to the day for him, but gets a fast repair, it looks like, gets back out there. You can see some cars stuck in the pit lane. Alex Persian, one of them. A very poor start to the day and start to the season for him. He's been in the pit lane now for 55 seconds. Do you reckon something happened to let me back up. Do you reckon something happened to him to put him here, or was it just by choice?
I would say something happened. I don't think it could be a pit speeding penalty, could it? It's difficult to say. I mean, we're going to get the replay to see exactly what happened to him, but it's
it might have been that unsafe pit entry going over that line.
Could it be the game of fine margins right there? He just went a little bit over the line. He definitely got the car slowed down enough for the pit entry, but looks like Alex may have some lack of luck, I should say, on the entry, and yeah, you can see how much that costed him, Andrew. So that's something we need to keep an eye out for if that is the case for the rest of the drivers.
He got out of the car immediately, and he has not gotten back in. We'll see this here in a moment when the replay comes back. Very concerning. Very concerning. He was great last season for the amateur series, and he's been in there for over 2 minutes now, so consider this race a wash for car 79. Very unfortunate there, as up front things are changing. Lawrence Zavadiel and Giuliano Romagnolo very close. Stu is putting on some pressure.
He definitely is, and this could force the number 24. This could force Zavadiel into some sort of mistake, and and we're just gonna have to wait and see how the number 24 is gonna cope with all this pressure right here, because Andrew, looks like the 55 really turned up the lap time. Looks like he was saving for a bit, and now he's absolutely going for it.
Giuliano closing in, and of course we've seen multiple drivers, think back to Andre Melcher's last season, put pressure on right before they pit, so maybe that's the call here for Giuliano on board of the car 55. Another close battle in this top 10 is Roger Resende on Matthew Dench. Here's the gap.
You can see it's less than a second. It's just over half a second, in fact. But you can see there, Dench just trying to hold off for that. Trying to chase down Bruno de Carmo up ahead, but currently he's going to have to start defending from Resende just behind him. And we're going to have to wait and see what the number 69 can do on the racetrack. Can he close up the gap? If he can, where will he make the move? I think the hairpin might be the easiest spot to do so.
A reminder, while these guys race on, just to the inside of 30 minutes to go, we're on social media in quite a few places. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We broadcast to 4 of those, put social media updates on 3. We put social media updates on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we broadcast to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Twitch handle is the same as the Instagram handle, pit_stop_TV. The rest of them, they're on your screen. Facebook, facebook.com/pitstoptv, twitter.com/pitstoptv_, youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1, and of course Instagram and Twitch I have covered already. So a lot of places to follow along, a lot of places to watch Pit Stop TV, all obviously if you're watching, well, you're hearing this, you already know where we broadcast to a point, but maybe you can follow on the other platforms, and you can, of course, follow along on our social media platforms for everything Pit Stop TV and all of the leagues we cover weekly. There are a few of them. So, pit lane going to get active here soon. JP, who do you think is the first of the leaders to come on down?
I don't know who's going to be the first. I do know who's not going to be the first, and I don't think the number 1 of Victor Miranda is going to be the first guy to hop into the pit lane. Andrew, I think he's going to wait up until the last, drop off field, the last possible moment to do so. Meanwhile, you can see there the number 10, Eric Goldner. He's in a good position, Andrew, because he can save a bit of fuel behind Rico just ahead, so he could be one of the last ones as well. So it's just a guessing game. Since last season, we've just been guessing, and we've been guessing wrong, haven't we? So I just want to be surprised. I just would like to get one of them right. So I'm going to guess the number 51 of Rico just ahead is going to be the first one to dive in.
Well then, hey, let's talk about some exciting racing deep in the field. Sam Soed and Scott Reister, they are nose to tail, separated by only 0.4 of a second. And Sam Soed currently on the defensive. That's not a usual thing for Sam Soed. He's usually making those passes, making those moves, and making the twitch highlights. As here we go, Agustin Castro has a left mirror full of Mitchell Johnson. A lot going on down here in the deep field.
You can see here a bunch of action down into the hairpin, which is exactly what we like to see. You can see 3 cars nose to tail, and this could really switch up quite a lot. And during the amateur race, when we saw drivers this close, kind of forced one of them into a mistake, and unfortunately the second one following didn't have nowhere to go. In this case, if something happens, I don't even think the third one could have anything to say. He might just be too close to avoid, but it's certainly fun to look at and, just to follow it along.
So Agustin Castro was fantastic in the amateur series last season. Defending here from Mitchell Johnson. A lot of pro-ams here. Scott Reister, Agustin Castro, Mitchell Johnson, Cody Johnson, Wayne Castile, all pro-ams, and all in a line from 18th through 22nd position. The lowest pro driver still running in the field is Carlos Villavalencia, it looks like. It would be the name. This is an interesting one. I want to give that one a shot. No, Villavicencio. So I was trying to read that from a much smaller bit of text. Villavicencio?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds a bit Italian, doesn't it? Villavicencio. I don't know. I'm not going to quote on that one. Sure. Yeah, but unfortunately, he's going to be the last pro driver, and looks like he's going to be letting the leaders go. For 1 second, Andrew, I thought he was going to hop out of the car and come to the commentator's booth to tell us how to, pronunciate his name, but looks like, unfortunately, it let a few of the leaders go. He started in 34th. He's currently in 36th, so definitely not the season opener he wanted, Andrew, but it's good on him for him to be, persevering and just putting those laps in, trying to get used to and trying to find his own rhythm.
Carlos out of the state of Florida here in the United States. Fabio Zamperlini, though, definitely not from Florida or the United States at all. He currently runs in the 35th spot after starting 41st, which, if you're wondering, was dead last. He's a former GT3 champion here in the North American Racing League. Not a great start to his season either. It's been rather dismal to be Fabio Zamperlini in recent seasons. Hopefully that turns around this time.
Absolutely. He definitely wants to get it back where he started, isn't it, Andrew? The first season he ended up being crowned a champion. After that, unfortunately, not the best of results, but he's still a very good and very strong driver. You can see they're currently in 35th spot. He got a few positions from where he started, but definitely nowhere near where we know he can be at.
Ahead of Fabio, you'll find Daniel J. Thomas, who we saw in incidents earlier on in the day, beginning with and ending with, I want to say lap 1, hopefully, but it was lap 1, turn 1, then, oh no, actually, no, it was lap 1, turn 2, then it was something else later on with his teammate Mikhail Rudebush, who's just up the road. So a lot of these guys mired well deep in the field, and they're all pro drivers so far. Even Bryce Rodriguez, who's 32nd. The first of these drivers that we're going to get to that is a pro-am is Ryan Kerr in the 33rd spot, but we've got problems. Agustin Castro was just slow. Look at this train of cars ahead of him, though. There's been a lot going on back here, a lot of action happening. And in all of this, and I think maybe the reason for some of this mishap is actually this pink car That is Nicholas Rubelar, who pitted a little while ago, JP. He took, 7.9 seconds in the pit box itself. He pitted from the 3rd or 4th position, somewhere up towards the front. He is into 19th, less than 35 seconds behind the race leader. Considering he took 27.4 seconds of the pit lane, maybe the front weight on that car is helping him run faster laps. Of course, these are mid-engine Porsches. They do burn fuel off of the nose, and the nose gets light, it gets harder to turn in. Maybe he needs that weight on the nose to help the car turn in, and he's going faster as a result.
Could definitely be Andrew, but I mean, he's just doing a stellar performance. If it is for that extra weight in the nose, it's definitely helping him, and he could definitely close in the gap. You mentioned the gap, the pit stop time, he loses around 27 seconds, isn't it? And you mentioned he's around 34 seconds behind the leader.
That's just 27 in the pit lane. That's negating how you have to slow down getting in and how you have to get back up to speed exiting. So that's why it feels like he's been fast as of late. Only 35 seconds behind the leader. That's good.
And I think he's going to rejoin. If everyone pitted now, he could rejoin in 5th place, couldn't he? I mean, considering he's going to lose, 5th place or better. So his strategy could work, Andrew. We're going to have to wait and see how those tires are going to feel out at the end of the race. Should be, in pretty good condition. But he's definitely pushing right now. The leaders could be, saving a few of the tires towards the last part of the race. Rubelar needs to push right now. Needs to not waste any bit of time as well as he can. Big contact right here.
Wayne Castile just made a late move into Redman. And he backs up in front of Kevin Kirche. Gets back going, but he takes out Mitchell Johnson in the process. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed. And that's sometimes what happens when you're running too close to your competition. It could have been just a small lockup. It could be a move to try and get the position, as we're going to take a look here.
He backed out and then lunged, and
oh, yeah.
Mitchell had already made his turn, and unfortunately, that's just not a great opportunity. But hey, there's a big opportunity there to learn, and hopefully that doesn't happen again in the future. That's part of it. You're never going to be perfect in a race car. It doesn't matter what level you're at, if it's real or sim or anything like that. You're never going to be perfect, and there's always moments to learn, and that's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We see professional racing drivers making mistakes all the time, even on the pinnacle of racing, which is Formula 1. We see mistakes happening all the time in Le Mans. So, it's just part of racing, Andrew. It's part of the human nature, just making mistakes. The guys that haven't seemed to make a mistake, Andrew, it seems to be the top 3. Just checking it on their own. Even actually the top 2 looks like are just on their own.
I know we get tough on drivers a lot when they make mistakes and have those incidents, but if you want to break it down and get real, there's a reason that you don't have all 40 NASCAR drivers finishing a race, or all 20 Formula 1 drivers finishing a race, or 55 Le Mans entries finishing a race. There's a lot of reasons that you don't see every single car finish every single race, and if every driver was perfect, well, it wouldn't be any fun. You would just have guys hot lapping and never making a mistake. They would all just ride around in the line. Nothing would ever change. So it's those little mistakes, those little things that I know we get hard on guys about sometimes, but it's those little things that make racing so special, make it what it is.
Absolutely. And it's just part of racing, obviously, as you mentioned perfectly. As now we cut to Lawrence Labadil, really closing into Giuliano Romagnolo. No, got past. Yeah, actually, he got past Giuliano. So there you go. So the number 55 really put in a lot of pressure, and you really turned up the heat. And, there you go. Moved himself up into 5th place, the number 55.
Now, I see all you guys watching out there, but you haven't let us know where you're watching from. I'll give you one more chance to do so. By all means, let us know maybe where you're checking in from this evening. If it's a state here in the United States or a country worldwide, let us know. We'd like to hear where you guys watch from. We'd like to see where these guys all race from, and just get a scope as to how worldwide this North American Racing League has become, especially because in the name, it's North American Racing League, but it goes so worldwide. We get South Americans, we get Europeans, we get Australians, we get so many people from so many different places, and it's so cool to hear where you guys are all from. And by all means, stay as vague or specific as you might like. Maybe we find somebody that's right down the road,
Absolutely. And that could form a new team. You could join a new team as well, and that would certainly be something. As we're watching right here, the number 10 chasing down Rico, and the gap really has closed down, Andrew. But while you were talking, I kind of went to fish, I guess, a bit of information. Oh, a bit of windshield wiper action. And obviously that's a bit of preview for something that could happen in the future in iRacing. That should have happened a pretty long time ago, hasn't? I mean, shouldn't it? The rain, we're expecting it. It should come at any time soon, and that's just a bit more of what could happen. And I am definitely, up for it. I definitely want to see how that would change out the aspect of racing.
I see a whole conversation happening. I know we have worldwide drivers and viewers, but we've had every check-in so far has been from North Carolina. We've got Zach Rosar out there, Chase Wilson, Kayla Rondeau. We've got, I don't know, is that Scuzziel out there? We got so many people from North Carolina, myself included. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. We've got 4 or 5 of us out here, all from North Carolina, but Eric Goldner very much on the offensive here. This is for the 3rd spot to get onto the podium. Pit stops, they're waiting. These guys are waiting as long as they can, JP. So it's a split option, I think. We saw Nicholas pit early, maybe to get fuel back in the car and put weight back on the nose. But the rest of these guys, they're waiting as long as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And that strategy of waiting as long as, I guess, possible is just to keep the car as light as possible. If you pit, with just, let's say half a liter left, you're just going to be running, the least amount of fuel possible towards the end of the race, keeping the car light and keeping it nimble. So some drivers might prefer that. Some drivers might prefer risking a bit under heavy loads. And, it's just all part of racing, which is really interesting to see. But these guys is just going to be a race engine to see who saves more fuel and who stays the least amount of time in the pit lane.
I see Alex Persian checking in, and we even got a Florida out there in Austin, Texas for Brandon Louvier. Excited to see how he does next week at his home track. Roger Resende is starting to put some pressure here at Matthew Dench. We're going to have some battles, I think, in these last 10 minutes or so in this top 10. They're going to really get exciting, and this is going to be where I think this race makes or breaks itself. This is one of the classics, one of the new classics here in the North American Racing League. We talk about that a lot. New, exciting races for these drivers, just making themselves classics in this league. We might have one of those on our hands within just the last 15 minutes. Here's the Pro-Am leader, though. Lewin Hott in car 270, leading by nearly 2 seconds over Curtis Jones for Pacific Sim.
Yeah, that gap has, I guess, stayed, on its own. Curtis Jones really, I think, may have, just closed the gap a little bit, which is really good to see from the 999. And he's chasing down, obviously, the race-long leader, Lewin, just ahead. But it seems to be a good race and a good, final few laps right here that we've seen from Curtis Andrew. He definitely wants to close this gap, and if he does, we're going to have a Pro-Am lead battle on our hands, which is definitely going to make things very, very interesting. But it looks like Lewin as well is battling up ahead to try and get himself up into the top 10.
And remember, Lewin is following his teammate Marcelo Canoff. So those guys following very closely, I'm sure sharing notes, trying to help each other out. And I wonder maybe then if team orders will come into effect, if Marcelo and Lewin will switch positions to protect Lewin's Pro-Am lead. Of course, just theorizing here. No clue how these guys will approach things, but it's an option for them, of course, as Curtis Jones approaches. And you're right, Curtis is starting to make some good headway, although that time at a turn 4, losing just a little bit of time, headed down to the hairpin, and now closes back in.
He's just, just gaining a few times on certain corners, losing on accident a little bit. But he definitely is closing down that gap, Andrew. So, yeah, Curtis is putting in an amazing few laps right here, really pushing. Could be a sign of him, just approaching his pit window. We saw that plenty of times last season. Drivers on the last few laps of field just absolutely gunning it. As you can see there, Eric is definitely gunning it as he almost went wide on the final corner.
Teammate here with Victor Miranda putting some pressure on. Every time I see that car, I want to say it's Victor, but that is very much his teammate. As he approaches Ricardo Rico, putting some pressure on Nicholas Rubelar's teammate. So I love that we're seeing more teammates get into the series. If you recall the GT3 finale where we had a lot of full-time esports drivers all working against, I forget who it was now. We saw very much just how valuable teammates are in the North American Racing League. Team orders aren't usually a thing, aren't always a thing, but when they are, man, it matters so much to have your own team orders on your side.
Oh, absolutely. When you have a lot of teammates, alongside you, when you're fighting for a win or a championship, it's really, a blessing in disguise, I guess you can say. Not even in disguise, everybody's wearing the same colors, but it's really a blessing to have all those teammates working with you, as we have now, looks like a few extra cars down in the pit lane, Johnson,
Mitchell
well,
Johnson.
he's 7.93 Andrew, so that is faster than Rubilar. We're gonna have to wait and see his whole pit lane time, but yeah, it looks like 7.9 might be the time. Just to keep in mind, should be the average. We should see some guys going quicker, but we should definitely as well see some guys going a bit slower. As Tony Kanaan looks like he got passed by Nicholas Rubilar, and it looks like he's carrying a bit of damage as well.
And we saw damage earlier for TK, unfortunately hindering him just a little bit. And we talked about these three in a line earlier on as well. Earlier, they were split by one car in between. I forget who that was now. But now, Tony Kanaan, Sam Swed, and Scott Reister, three of the big guys here in the North American Racing League, big personalities. They're all in a line. You can see Scott Reister sporting that Miradnas logo on his car, chasing down Sam Swed, putting some pressure on, as Sam Swed and Kanaan are pro drivers, and Scott Reister is a pro-am.
So this is, even though they're in different class, Andrew, I don't think that's going to change a lot between
Well, they're all
them.
good friends.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they should have a laugh. I would like to say a beer after a race, but I don't think geographically that is possible. But
Oh no, Sam Swed's in the Carolinas. Scott Reister's in Texas, I believe. And TK, I wonder if he's racing from Indiana or Brazil tonight.
oh, that's a good one.
One car stopped.
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, one car is stopped right there. Maybe. Yeah, he's
Not sure who
out
that
of the
was, but
race.
he's escaped.
Yeah, so yeah, good question. I'm not pretty sure if Tony is on Brazil. He just raced the Indy 500, didn't he? He almost won, actually, didn't he? A few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was an interesting day. I was really, really pulling for him. But big props to Marcus Ericsson for taking that win, and certainly going to be the biggest one of his career unless he piles up a few more. But yeah, definitely was pulling for the number one car in that race. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite to be for Tony Kanaan on that day. We'll see if maybe that happens later on in 2023, potentially. Up towards the front of the field, Ricardo Rico has been passed now by Eric Goldner. We missed that for a moment, as here we go. Pit stops. Your top two, it looks like. No. Split decision. Goldner comes... I'm trying to figure this out. Is Miranda in? Yes. Timing and scoring was being a little bit finicky with me for a second. Victor Miranda is in. Dino Filippo is in. You've got... oh, man, I'm trying to catch up with this. There goes... Let's just try and slow this down. There goes Miranda, 7.87 seconds. Dino exits, 7.9. Ricardo Rico is in and out, 7.6. Lawrence Zavadil here, 8.38. Exiting side by side of Bruno De Carmo.
You see, they're side by side. Who's going to come out on top? Looks like I saw a bit of... Yeah.
Oh!
Bruno, unfortunately, is going to back off. And is that... Rubilar?
Contact! No!
Oh, no.
Nicholas Rubilar came across and turned in across Lawrence Zavadil, and Bruno De Carmo gets swept up in that. Three of the best cars in the field, and maybe that strategy we were theorizing about for Nicholas Rubilar. Oh, more contact! Lawrence Zavadil and Bruno De Carmo.
It looks like Bruno is going to end up with more damage, and he may have parked. But unfortunately, after putting such an amazing laps, Andrew, all that hard work unfortunately came to an end for Nicholas Rubilar.
Let's check this out. This is exiting the pit lane. Bruno and Lawrence exited side by side. Lawrence with a slight advantage. Here comes Nicholas. He turns in like they're going to yield the spot. And Lawrence doesn't. And there's contact. And Bruno almost got on by without further issue, but then caught the back end of Nicholas' machine. And then I really want to see what happens after the fact here. Was this... Oh, what?
I don't even think that was...
I think that was miscommunication. At first, maybe that contact might have been intentional from one side or the other, but I think that was just a miscommunication from those two. Let's see this one more time. And I mean, it's very clear to see that Nicholas thought that they were going to yield that spot, but it's never a guarantee, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, once you're coming in at such a high speed, you think you have them cleared, but obviously, you just don't. It's just so unfortunate, and he may have just realized that on the last possible second, Andrew, and but at that point it was just too late. And obviously, if you're coming down in the pit lane, you're coming in with less speed, you can brake a lot later, and yeah, just unfortunate. They both of them at the exact same spot. If it was just, I guess, a few tenths slower, we wouldn't have had that contact, but unfortunately they did, and a lot of the hard work was unfortunately undone.
Let's break this down now after the pit stops. 9 minutes to go. Victor Miranda leads by 3 seconds. I think it's safe to say he should win this race. Dino Filippo, though, in the second spot, had a bit of a slow run through the pit lane, it looks like, compared, or at least maybe slow getting back out onto the track. Now, again, 3.3 seconds behind, but a second clear of Eric Goldner. Ricardo Rico going to stay in the 4th spot, it looks like, and Stu moves up, well, hangs on to 5th, really, with Matthew Dench being promoted to the 6th spot with the issues there for Lauren Salvadil. So move up car 283 a couple of positions, and you'll find Roger Resende just behind in car 69, teammates with Victor Miranda and Eric Goldner. Nicholas Rubelar has sorted into the 8th position after that incident in turn 1. Luan Hott now moves up into 9th, and you can see that Marcelo Canoff has led his teammate by, whether it was by choice or not, and now is playing defense for his teammate so that his teammate can hang on to the Pro-Am victory.
And this could really play dividend, Andrew. We saw how quick the number 999, there we go, Curtis Jones was on the final few laps of that first stint, and may have been team orders, as you mentioned, could have been just luck on the pit lane, but now Lewin can stretch his legs a little bit, allow his teammate to just slow Curtis down a little bit, and now Curtis has less than 8 minutes to not only pass 1 car, but 2 cars if he wants the win at the Pro-Am class.
50 minutes of racing nearly complete. We've gone through 42 and change now. I agree with Chase Wilson out in the chat. These tires have got to be gone at this point. Not much grip left for any of these guys, as Curtis Jones goes a bit wide out of outward.
And he's just going to be losing a bit of time. Definitely not what he wants, Andrew. And, I mean, as a racing driver, Andrew, do you sometimes look at a gap, look at the time, and you think, man, it's just a bit too late. Should I just take it a bit easier on this final few laps?
I think in Curtis' position, he has a little bit of room to push still, right? He's got a pro driver behind him, and certainly that's points, but Gonzalo Cortez actually has his team as one of Curtis Jones' teammates and James Hansen putting pressure on him. So these guys are in their own battle. James Hansen maybe trying to help his teammate of Curtis Jones out a little bit, but I'm sure also trying to get that point for himself. So we'll see how this goes. I think if you're Curtis Jones, you can push a little bit still. You've got 6.5 minutes to go at this point. Go ahead and push. Put some pressure on Marcelo if you can. Even if you only get by Marcelo, you're still taking second in class, and you're getting an extra point or so in the overall positioning, and that matters, right? The way these guys are scored is overall, but then they break them down into different groupings from there. So everybody gets points based on their overall position, but then they're broken down into a pro side of the thing, a pro side of standings and a pro-am side of standings. So, you're racing everybody on the track for that spot. So it very much matters to go ahead and try and get those positions when you can. Scott Reister pressuring Samsoid here for the 14th position. Tony Kanaan, I think, took some repairs and drops down to 19th spot behind Lois Santi and Lauren Zavadil, Rafael Bonifacio, and of course, Scott Reister and Samsoid. These guys for 14th position could get interesting.
Could certainly indeed, Andrew. With 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go. The race is coming to an end. I guess you can tell that my voice as well is coming to an end soon.
Yeah, same.
But, yeah, the flu definitely got me. It's definitely not fun, but what is fun is seeing these two come together. The number 42 could have something to say down the inside. Not too close this time. You can see there Sam Sweaty kind of gets him covered. A big lockup right there, so could be a hit, Andrew, of those tires coming to the end of their life cycle.
Not many battles with the top 10s. We're searching around the field. This is one of the best ones. But also, we've got something brewing further back. Cody Johnson, Tony Kanaan getting after it. This is the PSM driver of Johnson getting after the world-class racing driver of Tony Kanaan here. An Indianapolis 500 champion here in car number 6. Cody Johnson in 20th, Bryce Rodriguez in 21st, Mitchell Johnson shortly behind them. They're chasing Lois Santi and Rafael Bonifacio. And very close contact there.
I was going to say, you don't have a lot of choices, I guess, chances in life to race against a world star racer, against Tony Kanaan, let alone sometimes, just giving him a little bit of a bump. So it's small things like that, Andrew, that iRacing really does well and obviously brings us those chances. But unfortunately right here, after that small bump, looks like he's really on the back foot right now and he's going to have to defend.
Yeah, Bryce took a shot there at him into turn 10. Couldn't quite get the spot. Ryan Kerr and Agustin Castro are battling. This is for the 23rd position. Agustin Castro looking good in his Pro-Am debut, although not as good as he wants to, certainly. 23rd position, definitely room for improvement, room for growth here for car 001. Ryan Kerr, I think very similarly, could use a few more positions in this run. He was good in amateur last year as well, or last season as well. So these two both building on a lot of what they found in the amateur series last season. Throw, of course, Alex Persson into that group as guys that are looking to build on things. And you've got a really good set of drivers that have been promoted up to this Pro-Am category and are doing a pretty good job of holding their own.
Absolutely. It's certainly nice to see these guys, just as you mentioned, holding their own against the competition, even after moving up in classes. And yeah, I mean, just nothing but praises. And meanwhile, we have this battle right here. After everything that's happened, it looks like Eric Goldner really made it up some spots in the pit lane.
More so time. He was already third. He had just gotten by Ricardo Rico by the pit stop, and now an opportunity here on Dino Filippo. I think Dino trying to save fuel maybe. The pit stop, I think, for Eric was shorter, but Eric is on the offensive here. I guess had more opportunity to save fuel and is really pressuring car 71. This is going to be exciting these last couple of laps. We should get the 2 to go signal this time, Bob.
It's really going to be close between these two. You can see the number 10 of Eric really going for it, so gonna wait to see what's gonna come out of this one. And but yeah, I'm really excited for this last 2-3 final laps. I mean, are you ready, Andrew? Seeing some nice little battle for second place. This could be a 1-2 for Eric's and Victor's team. As you can see there, Victor 4 seconds ahead, and he can just barely see his teammate on his rearview mirror.
So Victor Miranda will take the 2 lap to go signal. Dino Filippo with pressure from his teammate. Things are getting close here in the closing stages. If you're Eric here, JP, where do you make the move and when do you make the move? Do you make it with 2 to go or 1 to go?
Andrew, I know with 1 to go, obviously you give the guy you're overtaking, you're going to give Philippa, just a little less time to try and get it back at you, but I would just, go for it as soon as the opportunity comes. If it's on the exit of this corner, heading into the hairpin, just go for it, trying to get it nailed on the first time of asking. And I mean, just don't wait around too much. Sometimes that could really go wrong, but it looks like the number 10 is not going to be close enough. But Philippa is definitely going to have to defend, so we could see very, very soon, Andrew, especially right here.
Very close. Side by side almost through Revolver. Eric is on his bumper, trying to find a way by the Energy SimSport number 10, pressuring the 71 maybe into a mistake. Now a 4-second gap from these guys up to the race leader. Of course, Eric's teammate there in Victor Miranda at Energy SimSport. Their teammate Roger Resende in 7th. Dino here on his own. Through turn number 9, Hobbs. And just enough of a gap, I think, for Dino to relax before they get to turn 1.
Maybe just enough, Andrew. He cannot afford any sort of mistake. Meanwhile, Victor Miranda, the number 1 car, who has led, I think, almost every lap of the race apart from 1. He's going to end up, well, he's going to take the white flag right here. And Andrew, white flag for these two. Could Eric get second position? Could he dethrone the number 71 for the second place that he has seen throughout the whole race? Only a few miles left to go.
White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams on the track. 4 seconds from these two to the race leader. I think if you're Eric Goldner, make the move into turn 5. At least try and unseat that 71. Get alongside of him, even if you can't complete the pass. Because if you can get him out of his rhythm, you're going to have a better shot. Now the problem here is he's got cars ahead of him to help Dino draft. It's going to be tough for Eric to make a move by turn 5. Is he still going to try and do so? He looks to the outside with a slow car ahead. That's the number 16. No opportunity there for either driver to do really anything into turn 5. A lot of lap traffic ahead of these guys.
This could really play dividend, Andrew, on those final few corners of the racetrack. This is really going to slow down the number 71. You can see there, Eric trying to get a good enough run. Looks like both of them are actually going to let them go. No, they're actually going to battle. Oh, no, this could be very, very interesting.
Guys, you got to be careful here with 2 of the top 3 drivers bearing down on you. You've got to get single file. You can't race like this. This is holding them up for a big position. Victor Miranda, meanwhile, is in turn 11 and will exit to claim the first win of the season. He will win at Okayama, and these two are battling to the line. Are they able to do anything about it? It's going to be a drag race to the line here, JP. A big block there from Dino, and he hangs on to second.
Yeah, that final block really guaranteed his second place. Eric Goldner had a really good run, tried to nail down perfectly, but unfortunately couldn't. Rico is going to finish in 4th place ahead of Romagnolo, Dench, Resende, and Rubilar. It looks like Luan Hot is going to come home to win the Pro-Am class. So, yeah, Andrew, a fantastic round opener for both. I guess all three of them, the Pro-Am, and amateur races.
That was exciting. Victor
It
Miranda
certainly
takes
was.
the win by 6.5 seconds by the time it's done. Dino Felipe goes second, Eric Goldner third, then Ricardo Rico in the 4th spot. Giuliano Romagnolo hangs on to a top 5 over Matthew Dench, Roger Resende, Nicholas Rubilar, who goes 8th after his contact with Lawrence Zavadil. Luan Hot goes 9th. Marcelo Canoff hangs on to a top 10, and Luan gets that Pro-Am victory over Curtis Jones, which is very, very important there. 3rd in Pro-Am is James Hansen. 4th is Scott Reister. A great start to the season there. Is some racing there to the start-finish line. A great start of the season for Scott Reister, and even for Luis Santi, who goes 18th overall and 5th in class, ahead of Mitchell Johnson, who goes 6th in Pro-Am competition. Every car has crossed the start-finish line, it looks like, JB. Let's go ahead and get down to our unofficial race results.
So you can see right here the number 1, Victor Miranda, finishes in position number 1 ahead of the number 71 of Dino Filippa. Eric Goldner, Victor's teammate, is going to finish in 3rd place ahead of Ricardo Rico. Giuliano Romagnolo is going to finish in 5th ahead of Matthew Dench, Roger Resende, and Nicholas Rubilar. Luan Hot in the number 270. He's going to win the Pro-Am class down in 9th place ahead of his teammate, Marcelo Canoff.
Finishing in the 11th position, you'll find Curtis Jones 2nd in Pro-Am, as we talked about. There's Gonzalo Cortez in the 09. He finishes 12th over James Hansen. That battle did not change at all. It was Scott Reister over Sam Soid for 14th and 15th. Great pass there in the closing stages for Scott Reister. Then Lawrence Zavadil 16th, Rafael Bonifacio 17th, then Laui Santi, Tony Kanaan, and Mitchell Johnson. Very close there at the end, separated by just 4/100ths of a second for the 19th position.
21st place goes for the number 001 of Agustin Castro. Behind him, I should say, Fabio Zamperlini, Aaron Folkerts, Bryce Rodriguez, and Mikael Rudebusch. The number 777, there we go, finished in 26th spot ahead of Ryan Kerr. And those are the drivers, Andrew, that have finished on the lead lap. One lap down, unfortunately, in 28th spot, we're going to have Carlos Vicencio ahead of Damon Duckworth and Daniel Thomas in 30th place.
Finishing in the 31st spot, you'll find Joshua Lane for Loradnis. Kevin Curice there out of Uruguay goes 32nd. Eric Sarapoli 33rd. Then Brian Zinn, Wayne Castile make up your top 35. It looks like Bruno DeCarmo is the first car out. He'll finish 36th. Then Scott Kimbrough credited with 37th. Alex Persian, an early exit for him, 38th spot. Then Lucas Souza, 39th. Jacob Stofko in the 40th spot. And finally, EJ Nixon will round out the 41 car field, taken out early there, 32 laps down. He did start the race, just taken out on those first couple of laps. And JP, what a way to get this season started. We already have Victor Miranda ready to go ahead and talk to you. Here is the Race 1 winner this season for the Porsche Cup Series.
Então, Victor, bom, diferentemente do que aconteceu na última temporada, a vitória nessa temporada veio no primeiro round e pareceu bem controlada. Como é que foi do teu ponto de vista?
Boa noite, cabine de transmissão, boa noite, espectadores. Uma corrida bem difícil, acho que a temperatura da pista acho que era o mais desafiador aqui de todas, de tudo. Manter a temperatura do pneu sem desgastar ele durante 50 minutos, acho que era a parte mais difícil. No meio para o final, a entrada da reta oposta começou a sair bastante de traseira e eu optei por um setup um pouquinho melhor de reta, o Dino um pouquinho melhor de curva, então no final ficou um pouquinho mais desafiador, mas como a gente vem se preparando para o Qualify do Mundial já tem um tempo, então a gente tem um ritmo bom, os nossos companheiros aí, o Eric e o Roger, que entraram nessa temporada, também tem um ritmo muito bom, ajudaram no setup. Acredito que essa etapa vai ser diferente. Temporada passada a gente teve alguns problemas, ou alguns mitos que a gente não conseguia ganhar de jeito nenhum, mas abrimos bem e espero que continue assim ao longo da temporada.
E depois de sair de uma vitória, obviamente você acabou de sair de um campeonato, é o carro número 1, acabou de ganhar essa corrida. Como é que você se prepara para a segunda corrida? Você mencionou preparando para o Mundial. Como é que você divide esse treinamento também entre o Mundial e a NARL?
É difícil dividir. A gente tem um outro campeonato aqui no Brasil agora, oficial da Stock Car, né, da categoria oficial, então também tem um grande desafio lá. Terão ótimos pilotos, Ariel, Jeff Gias, que também está no Mundial, Ariel que tem 10 mil de rate, então é um outro baita desafio. Mas como os treinos acontecem durante a semana, né, para as oficiais do iRacing, o se adaptar ao carro, acho que é o principal, né? Quando a gente muda de pista, a gente já anda aqui há um tempo, então as pistas a gente conhece. De fato, a gente precisa conhecer mais o carro, e foi isso que aconteceu. Andar tantas horas dentro de um carro, você acaba conhecendo as especificidades e ajuda no final, né? Então espero que a próxima etapa seja uma etapa também bem sólida, sem muitos erros, e vamos lá, que tem muitos bons pilotos essa temporada aqui.
Com certeza, Victor. Muito obrigado pelo seu tempo. Meus parabéns pela vitória e espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Obrigado.
Well, Andrew, that was Victor. Well, just pretty much kicking off where we left off actually last season. First in Portuguese, then we come to English. So he mentioned that it was a very hard race on itself. The high track temperatures really made it difficult for all drivers, especially to keep the tires alive throughout, the whole stint, the whole 50 minutes of the race, just them going away. He mentioned that his setup, was a bit geared towards the top line speed, to the straight line speed, I should say. So on the very last end of the race, it was very difficult. He mentioned that Philippa's setup, was a bit more geared towards cornering, so may have been easier on him. But he also mentioned, that he was just practicing for the World Qualifier. I think it's for the official Porsche season. So, his pace is definitely going to be very strong. And he mentioned that it's very hard to divide, the practice between NARL, the Porsche Cup qualifying, and now the Brazilian official Stock Car Championship. So, a lot of things going on for the number 1 over there, but he's able to, get used to the car official practices, from iRacing, from NARL as well, to get used to the Porsche. And that has been his challenge. He hopes the next race on Texas is going to be more of the same. He wants a nice, clean race. And, he certainly did today, so he definitely wants to repeat next week.
Moving on down the line, we'll go to the second place driver in Pro-Am. That's going to be Curtis Jones from Pacific Sim Motorsport. And Curtis, we don't get to talk to you very often, but tonight you were just about perfect, only coming up 1 spot shy of a class win, 2 spots shy, I guess, on the racetrack, but 1 spot shy in class. And it looks like maybe his teammate helping him out a little bit. What was the challenge like out there? Of course, temperatures were high and grip was low.
Oh man, guys, yeah, it was a tough race for sure. Luan had a lot of pace. He had a drafting buddy there for a little bit, so he was able to maintain that pace at a pretty leisurely rate. And I was just chasing hard. It was really slippery out there. There was a couple of close calls that I had, but I think I kept my composure pretty well. It was a nice way to open up the season. Yeah.
Okayama this evening, very warm. Circuit of the Americas next week, likely to be very warm and very slick again. And even Phillip Island, race number 3, likely to be pretty warm. So 3 warm races to start the season off. What are you guys doing at PSM to prepare for that?
Oh gosh, it's mostly just focusing on, making sure your setup, your bias is right, making sure you're not locking any tires, no micro locking, smooth inputs, just extracting everything out of the car that you can, right? We got people, of course, Lawrence, last season's Pro-Am championship winner. He's on the team now in Pro, and he's putting us through the paces. He's teaching us a lot, and the guy is a workhorse, man. He puts in like 15 hours to practice, so we get a lot of data, so we can find out where to be fast and how to do it.
Now, in layman's terms, for some of those guys, maybe the family or friends that are out there watching, sponsors even, describe those challenges. Micro-locking you mentioned, and brake bias, of course. What are those things? Well, first of all, what can you do in the car, like the brake bias, to help you guys out? And what is micro-locking? What are you trying not to do?
Yeah, so we're, clearly the Cup car has no ABS, right? So that means that there's no assistance with not locking tires. So really, you are the ABS, as well as you making sure the car is set up correctly and being able to adapt to the car as the temperatures change, the fuel burns off, etc., right? So, brake bias allows you to adjust how much braking force is going to either the front or the rear of the car, basically the differential on that out of 100%. And, that's what you can do in the car, because we don't have traction control. We don't have anything like that. So you're really just focusing, listening to the tires when you're going into the braking zone, right? When you're leaving the exit of the corner, right? Just keep you got to take care of your tires. That it's absolutely paramount. And I think today it shows, right? We put a lot of effort into ensuring that we're consistent, we're fast, and we're smooth. And, it worked out, man. And it's a hot track. It's going to show anybody's ill-prepared, team today.
There you go, Curtis Jones finishing second in Pro-Am. Curtis, thanks for your time, and I'd love to keep talking to you a whole bunch. We could probably talk for hours, honestly, but we'll cut it there, and hopefully then we just talk to you next week at Circuit of the Americas. Best of luck out there in Texas.
Yeah, 100%, boys. Good talking to you, and you'll be seeing more of me.
Sounds
Take it
good.
easy.
Car 999 going to be towards the front then, it sounds like, this season. There's Curtis Jones finishing second in Pro-Am to this guy, JP Luen Hot, who looks very good and, hot this season.
So, Luan, agora falando em português contigo, dominou a corrida, pareceu bem tranquilo do teu ponto de vista, mas eu quero que você conte pra gente como é que foi manusear esse carro com essas temperaturas tão altas.
E aí, João Paulo, boa noite. Good night, guys. Cara, foi um dia perfeito, eu fiquei muito feliz, realmente. Com a qualificação, até o final, até quase no final, eu achei que eu tava com a pole, mas aí eu não lembro quem, mas fez a pole, acertou uma volta muito bruta no final e acabou levando. Aí eu foquei na largada, porque eu sabia que eu podia largar bem, porque eu gosto de treinar largada, eu acho largada muito, muito interessante de se treinar, e acabou que deu certo. Na largada eu já acabei indo para a primeira. A única dificuldade da corrida foi realmente manusear os pneus, porque a pista estava muito quente, dava para fritar um ovo lá, e foi isso. O Marcelo ajudou muito, mantendo o pace na frente, porque com ele na frente eu fiquei um pouco mais tranquilo por conta do vácuo e tudo mais, só que isso não adiantava tanto quanto eu achei que ia adiantar, porque o Curtis estava muito rápido, ele tinha um pace muito bom e estava chegando em mim com muita facilidade. E aí foi focar no pit também, que ajudou bastante a manter a posição da frente, porque no pit eu coloquei um pouco menos de combustível, já que eu tinha salvado, mesmo que seja pouco, eu salvei um pouco de combustível atrás do Marcelo, e isso ajudou bastante. E foi isso, a corrida eu achei muito perfeito para mim, eu gostei bastante. E vamos para a próxima aí, vir mais forte para a próxima corrida. Eu e o Marcelo, a gente vai treinar mais. E é isso.
Com certeza. Eu e o Andrew, a gente ficou durante a corrida mencionando a possibilidade de a gente ter ordens de equipe, né? Basicamente você pedindo para o Marcelo te deixar passar para ajudar a defender contra o Curtis. Aconteceu algo assim? Vocês estavam conversando sobre algo assim parecido?
Eu pensei nisso, só que o Marcelo tinha um pace bem parecido com o meu, então acabou que não foi preciso, mas eu só pensei em falar com ele, mas quando eu comecei a pensar nisso, a gente já tinha que parar no box, e no box eu consegui fazer uma parada mais rápida do que ele, e acabou que a gente não precisou fazer essa troca. Na verdade, a troca aconteceu no começo, porque como a gente é de categoria diferente, eu não queria atrapalhar ele, nem ele me atrapalhar, então no começo eu acabei tirando o pé um pouco, não porque ele pediu, mas porque não fazia sentido eu segurar ele atrás de mim, já que a gente não é da mesma categoria. E eu queria dar chance para ele tentar conseguir mais posições do que eu estava conseguindo, porque eu estava vendo que eu estava mantendo o ritmo, mas não estava sendo rápido o suficiente para chegar no pessoal e passar. E ele estava um pouco mais rápido no começo da corrida, então eu acabei tirando o carro para ele, deixando ele ir para não atrapalhar muito. E acabou que funcionou. A gente foi num pace igual. Ele, em alguns momentos ele era mais rápido do que eu, em outros momentos eu era mais rápido do que ele, mas funcionou e foi muito bom.
Bom, com certeza, Luan, funcionou no final, você conseguiu a vitória. Mas com isso, eu vou deixar você focar agora para a próxima corrida no Texas e espero poder falar contigo com, quem sabe, mais uma vitória semana que vem.
Muito obrigado, mano. Eu posso só falar dos patrocinadores que ajudam a equipe. Hell Drive Tech, simuladores, Sensa VR, Motorbull, Strike Brasil, Lindói Autopeças, Comida do Dia, Elite Performance, de setups para NASCAR, Hop Produções, Cardoso Design, Fórmula 3D e Arcuri Consultoria, eles que ajudam a equipe, mantêm esse trem indo para frente, mantém a locomotiva do AV indo para frente, eles que apoiam o nosso esporte e eles merecem muita atenção por isso. Muito obrigado e boa noite, até a próxima.
Com certeza. So Andrew, that was Luan. I mean, you could tell that he was pretty happy with the result. He was mentioning that in qualifying he was looking very good up until the last few seconds that he ended up losing pole. But he wanted to practice. He practiced actually quite a lot of just standing starts, and that definitely paid off because he got the lead of the race straight after lights out. After that, it was just a question of just managing the tires on the hot temperature. He actually said the track was so hot he could fry an egg on it, so that was something funny, I guess. He told us he mentioned that his teammate really helped him with the slipstream, so that really just got I guess made his life a little bit easy, since Curtis was very, very fast according to him. It was just closing up quite a lot. I asked him about potential team orders. He said he definitely thought about it at one point in the race, but once he was going to mention it, both of them went to the pit lane and he ended up getting the position, so that didn't go that didn't get in the way, I guess, of the teammates. And after that, he's just focusing towards the end. Marcelo, obviously his teammate, was behind him and in the way of Curtis, and that ended up guaranteeing his victory. And he just wants to do, I guess, a repeat next week at Texas, at Austin, and he definitely is looking forward to that race.
So there you go. Luan Hot wraps up a pretty good run here at Okayama. That is, 3 interviews and 2 races and a total of 80 minutes of racing done and dusted here at Okayama International Circuit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather one final time. It had dropped down to 119 degrees on the track by the time we stopped broadcasting, but that's not a guarantee that it was 119 at the end of the race. It very well still could have been in the 120s or 130s even, and the sim just took a little while to close and give us that temperature, so it's still hot out there. It was a very warm day here, and I very much expect much of the same next week at Circuit of the Americas, JP.
Oh, I certainly, I guess, expect more of that as well. It's pretty much in the middle of the desert, isn't it? Unless that's just, just me thinking that the whole of Texas is a whole desert. But after that, we go
close enough.
There you go. So after, obviously, Austin, we're going to have Phillip Island and Silverstone. I guess we go to, still a hot track around Phillip Island, but we get to cooler temperatures around Silverstone. It's definitely going to be an interesting first half of the schedule. Then, obviously, the second half is just as good. But, before that, Texas, Circuit of the Americas, Andrew, it's going to be a big challenge. The off-tracks, the curb, the Verstoppers that me and Emerson like to call them, there's certainly a challenge, especially on the Porsche Cup cars.
There you go. But yeah, I think we have a lot to look forward to next week at Circuit of the Americas. Phillip Island also going to be a fun one, I think. And Silverstone going to be our first, I guess, trip to the Austin's in the northern hemisphere. Okayama is too, but I guess trip up north, properly up north, where it should be a little bit cooler for these guys. It could still be warm at Silverstone, but here's to hoping. Fingers crossed, everybody, we get a cooler race for you guys to cool off a little bit and get some better track temperatures and track conditions. The fun thing as well here, JP, is we are not locked into the morning anymore. Last season, every one of these Porsche Cup races was held in the morning in the sim. Now, we've actually collaborated with Scott Reiser to change that for this season. And if I fire up the website, NorthAmericanRacingLeague/Porsche-Cup-League/Porsche-Cup-Pro. I know it's a long web address, but if you can just get to NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com, you can navigate there. Today, this race started out in noon conditions for the for the AMs. Next week, it'll be Circuit of the Americas in the late afternoon, so it might cool off a little bit actually for the pros, and Phillip Island is actually going to be in the sunrise, so it's going to be a cooler race for Phillip Island, but it could still get warm by the time the pro race comes around. By the time we get to Silverstone, it'll be a noon race. Montreal will be in the morning. Indy Road Course will be in the afternoon. Suzuka will be in the morning. And Bathurst will be the late afternoon as the sun begins to set. So a lot to look forward to this season in the Porsche Cup Series for the North American Racing League, JP. With Okayama off the list, I don't know, man. We got a lot of races still to go. 7 races in total. I know I called out my 4 top tracks, I guess, on this list. Those being Okayama, Phillip Island, Montreal, and Suzuka. They're all one race apart, it seems like. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it. I don't really have a whole lot of other words to say about it. I'm just looking forward to this season. It's a very good schedule.
Absolutely, me too. I mean, it's just challenging on itself. I feel a lot of these tracks are going to be very challenging. Silverstone, I guess you can make an argument that it's going to be the least challenging. It has a lot of runoff areas. And then, I mean, besides that, Austin, it has those curbs that could really be deadly. Montreal has the walls. Phillip Island's just such a fast racetrack. Indianapolis is so much fun, but doesn't have a lot of runoffs, I don't think. Suzuka, I mean, it's one of the world's best racetracks. And then Bathurst, Andrew, the mountain, it's unforgiving, and we love it for it. So it's just, a fantastic, challenging schedule, and I'm in love, I think.
And how about the Formula 1 bias on the schedule as well? Formula 1 has been to Okayama before back in the 90s. They currently, of course, go to Circuit of the Americas. It was built for F1. I'm not sure if they've ever been to Phillip Island. I would doubt it, honestly. But of course, they still go to Silverstone. They still go to Montreal. They're going to Montreal this weekend. They've been to Indianapolis many times before. They've been to Suzuka, and they still go to Suzuka. And Bathurst is really the only odd one out, I feel like. Bathurst and Phillip Island. So, 6 tracks that have all hosted Formula 1 or still do host Formula 1. A very Formula 1 feeling schedule here for the Porsche Cup cars, but we'll talk more about that as the season goes on. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's go ahead and talk about upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV. We talked about them earlier on, JP, but next up on the channel, it's Coda with the Lone Star Racing GT3 Series presented by Sim Wrap Market. 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that is certainly going to be a lot of fun, Andrew. Obviously, it's a Lone Star, I guess you can say, race for us. But, it's going to be their finale, so it's going to be a big deal. It's certainly going to be an interesting finale on the Circuit of the Americas. Then, obviously, we're going to go to an oval side on the Outlaw Sim Series, and then, obviously, back to Coda for NARL. That's going to be a lot of fun, and make sure, if you don't want to miss any bit of those actions, let it be road racing at Coda or oval racing in the Outlaw Sim Series. Follow us on social media at facebook.com/pitstoptv, twitter.com/pitstoptv_, instagram.com/pit_stop_tv, and obviously on youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
And do you know why it's called the Lone Star Racing GT3 Series, JP?
Now I'm gonna...
Well, Texas is the Lone Star state, and they are from Texas. That series is based in Texas. That's where they're going to Circuit of the Americas for their season finale. So your pun was great for all the wrong reasons. I love it, though, because Texas being the Lone Star state, the series being from Texas, it is definitely a Lone Star race in multiple ways for us, in that it's a lone race for us with that series, and it is, of course, in the Lone Star state. I love that. I just wanted to give that little tidbit there. I do want to mention, since we no longer have BSR, the British Sim Racers, their coverage, in case you're still here from their channel and can't find it, their coverage has moved over to Year One Racing TV. Check them out on YouTube. Of course, you can find British Sim Racing on British Sim Racers on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, even Twitter, I believe. So check them out. Again, Year One TV will now have coverage of British Sim Racers. We thank them so much for their time here on the channel, and it's certainly a regretful departure for us from BSR, and hopefully we can make that happen sometime down the road. But that is it here. 50 minutes of racing for the pros and pro-ams, 30 for the amateurs earlier in the evening. JP, how do you wrap it all up?
I mean, it has just been a fantastic season opener. I mean, a whole lot of fun racing. Unfortunately, a bit of contact, but, you know, that's just racing as it is. And I cannot wait to see what we're going to have in store for us, Andrew. What they're going to have in store, actually, for us down in Texas. It's certainly going to be a whole lot of fun. And, well, I'm just as excited as I'm just excited for next week as I was for the season opener. And, yeah, hopefully they're not going to disappoint us.
A big shout out and thanks to all of our partners here with the North American Racing League, Virtual Racing School, Moradness, Tam Livery, JS Consulting, and our partners here at Pits.tv, Whiplash Media, SimCams, SimWrapMarket.com, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to close things down this evening and wish you all a fantastic evening, a fantastic weekend as well. Celebrate Father's Day and Juneteenth. Have a whole lot of fun this weekend. Stay cool, because it is getting warm, especially here in the United States, or if you're elsewhere in the world, just stay safe in general. And we will see you on Monday evening with coverage of the Lone Star Racing GT3 Series from Circuit of the Americas. Until then, have a great night. Thanks to everybody here at Pits.tv, JP Costa, Emerson Arden, and everybody else, and we will see you next time. Good night.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.